Hey, we got numbers.
Hey, welcome to ClevelandMoto Podcast, episode number 499. Light 'em up, boys. Oh, yeah. Did John have a simulated out? To my immediate left,
Tom Pennington.
not behind the bar tonight. And to his left,
Dan Krupke.
and to his left,
Steve Sleepy.
and
Johnny Mac.
to his left,
Chris Smith.
and behind the bar,
Steve Hofford, and thank you very much, Tom, for letting me sit back.
No worries. You said your leg couldn't take standing up like that.
No, I know I like standing up, so I can't stand up when I'm in a seat. So.
Grumpy Sewer Guy is in the house. Very cool. And I will tell, in case anybody's wondering, we have had so much positive reinforcement from our listeners about how happy they are that Grumpy Sewer Guy is back. Especially since we were talking about the Teslas in our last conversation, and having you back there, having Tom here, we have a bunch of people that understand the way those things work and are even tangentially in that industry.
I was going to say craft services isn't here.
Right, craft services isn't here. So she's not going to go off and rip us all a new one.
Yeah,
but that's good, and it was great having your input here because there's how many electric vehicles have you owned now? How many hybrids? How many Prii?
Probably owned 10 electric vehicles.
Yeah, I mean you are a very early adopter, but also a true believer.
Right. I had my favorite one though was the Insight, the original Insights, the
Yes.
all aluminum, 3-cylinder,
yeah.
whatever. I mean, they would get such great gas
I
mileage.
just think they look so cool. They look so organic because their waist, their ass is smaller than their nose. They just look cool.
Well, it's what the CRX was supposed to be the next generation.
There you go. Very, very cool. About that, just to bring it up real quick, we had our friends over at NOCOMoto have decided to dedicate the entire episode of their podcast, and they named it "ClevelandMoto Was Wrong." Gasp. Well, I listened to them, and that's cool that they have their take. Everyone's allowed to have a take.
Extraordinarily wrong.
Right.
Yeah. What were they saying that this is wrong? Because I don't listen to
the
that.
ultimate's the thrust behind it. And honestly, I give them credit for being thorough. They spent a lot of time diving down a rabbit hole that I never really even mentioned. My point is very simply that Tesla used to have LiDAR, and they took the LiDAR away to save money.
I have a caveat to that.
Go ahead.
They did not have LiDAR. They had radar.
Correct. Oh, thank you.
They got ready they were getting ready for LiDAR.
Correct. Right.
And then COVID hit.
There
and
we
then
go.
you had, wait for it, supply chain issues. Because if you ever want to give somebody a headache, mention the phrase supply chain issues.
So of course Tesla reduced the price of their vehicles because they did not come with the radar that was spec'd in, right?
That's when they went to the camera only system because you couldn't get because trust me, I understand this conversation.
I understand.
You could not get the radars because they were not being manufactured. So what they did was they upped the number of cameras.
Sure. I got it.
And introduced their early AI.
Right.
And it's got a name for it. I can't remember it now, and I have to look it up again.
Right.
But they went to a camera-only system because they couldn't get because they couldn't get the radars.
Right.
Called it Tesla View or something like that.
Yep.
But still, it's only I think it's Category 2, something.
Right. Category 2.
Category 2. It's basically your Ford F-150 with a little bit of AI behind it.
Sure.
To identify vehicles on the road. And they called it autopilot.
Right.
Which is marketing gone wrong because it's not. It literally is not.
Right.
Isn't Subaru uses cameras too, don't they, Dan?
Well,
That
I
eyesight-
believe it's just cameras, as far as I know.
Yeah, and it sucks because it drives you right off the lane if there's a split in the road.
And that's,
so I mean,
and that's the big problem with the Tesla. It identifies what's in the road around it, and then reports back. And one of the first conversations Phil and I had was that it was hitting Harley baggers because it was reading the taillights too close together, meaning
it was a car far away.
It was a car far away.
Yeah,
but it's a conspiracy.
Well, one of the things that Pete said was, he threw a 500 incidents, 500 mortalities. That's nothing, Well, if even one person could have been saved, then that is something.
And the entire reason behind NHTSA and DOT is to try to prevent these kind of things.
Absolutely.
It's something to the people and the families of the people who died.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. For me, is there's no reason for them not to have LiDAR, considering their competitors have it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And giving full self, my gripe is the same. Giving full self-driving that cannot achieve the desired goal, which is to not accidentally kill people, as a cost savings is not an equitable transaction in my mind.
And as a caveat, it's still not full self-driving. There's only one company that's even close, and that's Waymo.
Sure. Well, I can tell you the one that I was in was self-driving. You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
It might not have been supposed to be.
Correct.
But people are using them in that manner.
And that's the problem. It's supposed to be a driver.
I was sitting in nobody was touching the wheel. We drove all the way to Walmart and back.
It is supposed to be a driver.
It drove across the parking lot and came and picked us up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know that it's impossible for you to stand in your shower whilst holding a blow dryer?
No, it's not.
Okay, this is my point. Yes, this is my point.
And
this is my point.
Well, the point I'm making is that yes, you're right. It's not self-driving, but everybody's using them that way.
If you read every ounce of legalese around it, it will say, "Don't take your fucking hands off the wheel."
That's exactly right. Hey, Nick DeVito, what's up, nerds?
I don't think it even prompted you. Like, my car has lane keeping.
Oh yeah,
you could seriously drive for an hour and not touch the wheel.
Becky's car. If you try to touch the radio while you're in motion, it says "fuck you." It literally will say "fuck you" across the dash because it's a Chevy.
Well, if you have a hairdryer in the shower, it's actually a centrifugal pump.
It is a centrifugal pump. That's right. Right. And the other thing is, because of hairdryers in the shower, now you have to have a GFI outlet in every bathroom in the United States because of dumb people, right?
Oh, coffee's hot too.
Right. Coffee's hot. That's right. And if Tesla says, there's this button, we don't want you to touch it. Well, then you have to take the button away.
Yeah.
So if it's going to kill people by touching the button because you don't have the right technology behind the button, then you have to take the button away. Because if there's anything I've learned as being a firearms enthusiast is if there's a way for somebody to fuck up a perfectly good situation, look at me. I used a file and I made my gun fully automatic. That is not how a good conversation starts. Was it possible? Yes. Did you learn how to do it on the internet? Sure. Was it simple? Anybody could do it. What are the potential outcomes? Well, they're all bad. There are very, very few good outcomes from that.
Especially because you can't have select fire.
Well, this is the thing is just if there's a button, somebody's going to push it, right? I don't care where it is. If you buy a computer and there's a red button on the back of your computer and it says never push this button, it is 1.1 seconds until somebody pushes that button.
The great shiny candy-like button.
Right. That is what it is. And so if your car can do full self-driving, but it's only in beta mode and only for certified qualified developers, you are going to press that button so you can now read the newspaper on your way to work, right? Or catch an extra 50 winks when you're on the I-5.
Well, Androids at least hide developer options by hitting something 3 times.
Right. You have to press. Get into the developer settings.
Yeah.
It's okay. You still can't do that on your iPhone.
Hegdall Racing finally made it to a live.
Yay! Hegdall! Woohoo! Live show! Cool, man. Very, very, very good to see you. Yeah, it is it is to us who are people that are kind of work on cars and work on motorcycles. I spent almost an hour on the phone today with a guy that was super, super angry that I would not give him tech level data, tech level torque specs and everything else for his bike. And I'm like, you are not qualified to take your bike apart. You are not qualified to take your bike apart and put it back together again and maintain the warranty on that vehicle. I'm not going to take it apart. I'm not going to take it apart. Then why do you need to know what the tech specs are for a goddamn bolt on the vehicle? And since I know he's just that kind of fuck knocker that when I tell him the torque spec on something is 55 foot-pounds, right? He's going to immediately check me in the phone call and say, well, according to Robot's video, it was 35. And I'm like, then why the fuck did you call me? If your whole life is about playing Stump the Chump, you know what? Go fuck your hat. Leave me the hell alone. I want to stay out of it. And there's no reason he needs that information. He is getting lost in minutia, but he feels like, oh, if there's information out there, I must possess it.
Well, you can buy a service manual for most new bikes.
Or you have the goddamn Google.
Yeah.
Right? You have the Google. The Google's out there. Some calculus insurance companies use to deny your health care.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. So that is... We had one of our friends got their insurance canceled on their house because from the sky, it looked like they had too much junk in their backyard.
Oh, I'm in big trouble. Oh, wait, I don't have a house anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Bruce was livid about that one time. I mean, the insurance people came to his property.
Yeah.
Went onto
his property.
Went onto his property, inspected his property, wrote him up for a number of things, threatened to cancel his insurance if he didn't paint the house, fix a gutter, do like all these things. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me that a broken window in my back garage is like, it's just awful.
That is a very bad move to make with Bruce.
Well, I mean, at
the end of the day, really bad.
At the end of the day, he had to go fix all of his fucking things.
Yeah.
And keep his insurance.
Dude, cities do the dumbest shit. Like Cleveland
That
Heights.
wasn't the city, though.
No, that was the insurance company.
That's an insurance company.
company.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They canceled my insurance because they didn't like a tree in my front yard.
Oh, man. Wow.
Man,
Damn,
I hope
man.
they never look at my house. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a frightening thing. That straight up scares me. Yeah, that is.
I wonder what happens if you just say, okay, we'll cancel it and then go get insurance from somebody else.
Well, that's the point.
No, because as soon as you lose insurance, then they double your rate because it's as if you don't have insurance. So you have to. Your thing to do would be to say, I'm going to fix it, and then get new insurance and then drop them. That's the way to do it.
I mean, if you're lucky enough to live in a state where you can get homeowners insurance and not insurance of last resort.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a terrifying thing. I promise you, I have been through that with businesses that you're calling around to get quotes and you're like, oh, well, I can't give you a quote on that because that guy already gave you a quote on that. I'm like, what, I'm sorry, you can't give me a quote on that because that guy, our records show that they already quoted you for that. That group quoted you for that. I'm like, yeah, but that's a third party vendor. I want to go direct to the source. Yeah, well, that's great that you're going direct to the source, but we see that third party vendor already gave you a quote, so we're not going to give you a quote. I said, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, ain't that something? And it is diabolical, the manner in which they will run that. And I've learned sort of after 30 years in business that insurance is one of the most terrifying things I butt my head against every single day. And from the anecdotal information from my friends who've made claims, the last thing I want to do is make a claim. So it's like I will let a number of atrocities happen at my store prior to actually pulling the lever that will cause me to be able to use my one insurance claim. And somebody was like, oh, yeah, well, you get a new roof on your house. We'll just claim it was storm damage and you'll get a brand new roof on your house. And I'm like, and then I'm paying $1 million a year for insurance or getting dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the two. So since I don't feel like not having insurance anymore, I think I'm just going to go ahead and just do my roof the old fashioned way.
We'll get a 55-gallon drum of Vaseline with your claim. So, because that's what you're going to get.
And that's also probably going to happen. It is definitely one of those things you're like, I'm going to open a motorcycle shop. It'll be fun. I can smoke cigarettes and talk to all my friends. And you're like, and that's not what we're doing today. Mm-hmm. Today, we're spending 9 hours on the phone chasing down a problem with our point of sale system. Tomorrow, we're going to spend 5 hours on the phone chasing down a problem with our insurance. Oh, one of our vendors lost the right to sell bikes in the United States of America. That's weird. I didn't know that could happen. And all of a sudden, now we are on the horn. Instantly, we're the rescue point for this vendor being able to sell bikes in at least our state of Ohio. So like the vendor's saying, hey man, can you do this for us? Well, yeah, because I'd love to sell your bikes. I'd really like to do that. How did that box get unchecked? I'm dying to know. And why is it my job to go out now and talk to people in Columbus, Ohio about checking that box again? Really weird. So
can a bike, on that line, can a bike that's approved by the federal government to be sold in the United States be denied by any state? I know California can do it, but the other 49 is
I honestly have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. And I really don't. And I do know though that in my career I have had states change their mind for certain manufacturers where you're like, oh yeah, last year when I had, these guys, we got our form submitted that they're an authorized distributor in the state of Ohio. Like somebody at the state of Ohio has said, we looked at the application. We deemed that these are DOT approved, NHTSA approved vehicles. And we're going to make, and what it all comes down to is making titles. So it's why you can go in there sometimes with some hinky thing you bought and you go, yeah, I need a I need a title for my, let's just use the name Maico, right? And M-A-I-C-O. And they're like, well, we don't have that. Or like when I went in there and tried to get a title for a 1955 Lambretta, I got a title that said Lamborghini, just because when you typed LAMB into the 4-letter code that the state of Ohio was using to delineate what the manufacturer was the vehicle, because these codes were written back in the old days when pixels were expensive, when bits and bytes were real expensive. They didn't type out the whole word Lamborghini. They just typed in LAMB was the shorthand for Lamborghini.
Was it a 1926 too?
Well, that was that was the joke. Was like, did Lamborghini make cars in 1956? No, I don't. I mean, I don't know whether or not they did. I'm thinking they didn't. However, I pretty clearly pointed to the vehicle in the back of my truck and asked the lady if she thought that was a Lamborghini. And she goes, well, that's what the computer says LAMB is. And I went, well, ain't that something? I said, well, let's try to be a super duper smart ass. And I'm going to type in the name of the manufacturer, which is Innocenti. Because everyone thinks they're riding a Vespa, and you're not. You're riding a Piaggio. The model of Piaggio you're riding happens to be a Vespa. But every fucking title I see in the state of Ohio says manufacturer Vespa, and Vespa is not a manufacturer. Ain't that something? Yeah. That would be like if John's driving his car and it says manufacturer Corvette.
I think you're going to win this battle though.
What's that? Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, sure. I'm going to totally talk her into it. Yeah. I said, well, it's actually called Innocenti, and she looked it up. She goes, there's no Innocenti in there. And I was like, yeah, got it. Cool. Yep. And when you go and you ask them to look in the book to list all the Piaggios that exist, they don't list like Vespas. They list all the things that are Piaggios, but not Vespas. Then they'll list like Chow mopeds and shit and all kinds of crap from the olden days. But then when you tell them, you're like, okay, list all the Vespas. Like the Vespa was its own manufacturer. And then I'm like, oh, great. So yeah, so the Vespa Corporation did in fact make a Primavera. Right. And the Vespa Corporation did, in fact, make a LX150.
I mean, you're looking at the difference between General Motors and Chevrolet.
I get it. Well, Chevrolet is a manufacturing company. They're registered as such. Yeah. General Motors is the parent of that conglomerate. In this case, though, we're not talking about Piaggio being the parent of any conglomerate. The Piaggio is the name of the goddamn manufacturer. And that would be like if you said manufacturer of your motorcycle, Sportster. We all know it's not fucking Sportster, right? You're not going to confuse the ladies at the title bureau when you say my bike is a Sportster, and she'll write down HD on it.
That's another thing I like about Honda.
Yeah. It's fucking short and sweet.
Honda makes Hondas.
Honda makes Hondas.
Who makes this? What is this? It's a Honda.
It's a Honda.
Honda.
In fact, when in doubt, people say Honda. Honda is used as shorthand around my shop all the time. I got a bike. What kind of bike do you have? Oh, it's a Honda. Oh, really? What model of Honda is it? I'm dying to know. Oh, well, it's a Honda. It's a Honda. Fuckers don't know what they own. You would be shocked. You worked in my shop for a week. The number of people that call in that do not know the name of their motorcycle. It's disturbing.
Now, those people have a name, but it's like Billy.
Well, I was like, yeah. So can you describe the motorcycle to me? You've told me it's a Honda. Can you describe it? Well, it says KZ650 on the side. Oh boy.
Yeah, but sometimes it can be confusing because I know what I had. Mine said Husqvarna on it.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the DMV and the lady's like, oh, so where is your MV Agusta? And I'm like, yeah, I don't see anything with four pipes sticking out the back.
And by the way, yours is the perfect example of when those bikes were being brought in. Yeah. Husqvarna was not a recognized on-road motorcycle brand. So if you had a Husqvarna, it automatically came up on the FOU for off-road use only list. So because your vehicle was in fact on road, but there was no certification filed with the state of Ohio for an on-road Husqvarna because the 401s and everything came later and the 701s came later. So your particular bike, they used the importer, which was in that very short window of time before MV Agusta got picked up by Harley Davidson for like 3 weeks. That was it. Wow. So when those bikes came in, the importer of record or manufacturer getting them into the United States was in fact MV Agusta. But MV Agusta was on the list of registered acceptable vehicles in the state of Ohio, and Husqvarna was not.
And it was really fun getting
decisions
insurance.
Were made.
Well, and getting insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Because then they were like, well, what is it? And I'm like, it's a Husqvarna.
How much money do you think they wanted to charge me for insurance on my 1956 Lamborghini? A lot more than you'd want for your average 125cc fucking grocery shopping cart moped.
I'm sure.
Right? Yeah, it ain't cool. That ain't cool at all. Yeah, it is one of those. It is one of those awful things, you know. But it's just part of being here and doing what we do. It's kind of weird. In the COVID updates, we're not going to get into the. We don't need to get into the weeds on that.
I would just reboot it, man.
Well, yeah, we're just reboot it, right? Who knows what it's going to be? I fucking can't tell. But here's what I can tell you: there's a lot of shit at the dock. So if you ordered something and it's not here yet, I can almost guarantee and tell you where it is. Wow. It's at the dock, where the manufacturers that have to pay tariffs on things are playing a game that we are now calling Schrodinger's warehouse. Schrodinger's warehouse is your property that you ordered and you may have paid for up to 6 months ago, may or may not be currently at the dock. It may be on a boat. If that answer is more profitable to the people who have to pay the tariffs. Not saying they can change that. What I'm saying is they can change you. So they might say, oh, do you really want that thing that you ordered 6 months ago? Well, unfortunately, it hasn't got into the United States yet. So we're going to have to charge you an extra 125% to get that thing that you ordered 5 weeks ago because it hasn't gotten off the boat yet. But to them, they know damn well that item is in their warehouse and it didn't have to pay a tariff and it came in 3 weeks ago or whatever. And what's happening, and we have caught vendors in this already.
Charging you a tariff on something they didn't pay a tariff on.
Bingo! That's called an opportunity for excessive profit. I believe that was what we also called the logistics conundrum of COVID.
I think that's also what we've called the past 2.5 months.
Sure, absolutely. And we've caught vendors in this little trick already, and we call it Schrodinger's warehouse. It's your property is in the warehouse. The status of your property in the warehouse is dependent on whether or not the person you're paying for that property can use that as an excuse to charge you excessively. We here doing what I do, we learned that when COVID hit and everybody doubled and tripled their shipping costs, that we were still seeing stuff coming in from our vendors when I wasn't paying my shipping costs through a third party, when I wasn't paying it through a U.S. distributor, when I was paying the freight company directly, when I was paying the boat company directly, I saw an increase in my costs of about 5 to 15%. Meanwhile, we were seeing an increase in the build cost to us of up to 300% of the freight. That was just an opportunity for profiteering. Any excuse to make profit, especially if they can't catch you on it, right? And that's the thing that happened, and it's the thing we're seeing right now, where I can talk to one person in a warehouse that says, "Oh yeah, I know your crates are here because I checked them in like 2 weeks ago myself. I order weird shit. People might notice it. It might stick out." Whereas you talk to the guy who is your rep and he's like, yeah, those haven't arrived yet. And they're really jammed up at the port because nobody can come up with these $200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 checks to pay these tariffs to get the property freed up. And I'm like, dude, you've already been sold down the river. Your dock worker, your warehouse manager, the truck driver, the forklift operator already told me my shit's over there in the corner in aisle 23, right? No, I'm going to go back and hand check, but I don't think it's back there. Oh, and yeah, by the way, you're going to have to pay us like, $4,000 in tariffs to get your shit. Okay, I'll write that check directly to the Department of Customs. Oh, well, you can't do that. No, we already paid it, or we're going to pay it. Yeah. No, that's not how it works. So be careful of that, guys. If you're a consumer out there and somebody's trying to charge you an atrocious tariff on something, you might be being charged a tariff that doesn't need to hit. It might just be profiteering. Careful of that. I ordered some garbage on Amazon yesterday just to test the system. Some shit that I knew was blatantly coming from China. Just the most obvious, this shit is China shit. And here we are. It's not, it's past the date. It's past the deadline, the whole thing. And I was quite shocked to find that the stuff that I was ordering on Amazon was the exact same price that I paid for it 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, just because I was curious, because I want to see, because you have records of that. Your account says what you paid for it the last time you ordered it. You can find that out. So am I to believe that that company, out of the goodness of their heart, is just taking these tariffs and paying for them? Or am I to believe that the machinations are not in place yet for these corporations to actually write the check and get the check to make it to the customs.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, like, I guess so customs is going to be the one who's targeted, but there's a whole accounting game that has to have, the government has to, you've just, now that you're doing all this, now you have to create a whole department of the government to administrate, like, well, this is coming in. We have to inspect this. This isn't it. We got to do an inventory of everything. And this is what the tariff would be on this boatload of shit.
Every time I import a Japanese car.
To this company, there's a whole ton.
I should have brought one.
What you mentioned a couple days ago was more important, was talking about inspecting everything. Sim told you they can't tell you where each individual crate inside of the crate originated from. Therefore, you literally have to go through and hand count everything in the crate.
Because they are mixed crates. So what they have in their crate, the thing in the crate, well, one of the boxes in the crate may have come from China. Another box in the crate may have come from Vietnam. Another box in the crate might have come from Thailand. Right. And so this becomes a problem too.
So this is like a whole huge branch of the government that has to pop up overnight to administer. And
we have a friend of mine that does what I do, importing cars from Japan, was recently at the dock and had to give up his adventure at the dock because in the course of the time he was at the dock, one, he couldn't get into the dock because there's so much freight log jammed there. There's so many containers log jammed there. There was no space to get anything else into the dock. He had to park his truck and his trailer 2 miles away at a hotel parking lot and get an Uber down to the dock to get in. And then once he finally got on property and finally got in and had his TWIC escort and all the things he had to do to get into the dock, and he got there, and the people that released the equipment, the people that actually run the little, we call them sheds, that run that unload the boats, they handle the demurrage, and they were there like, we don't know what to charge you because we're not exactly certain what the duty is or what the tariff is on that at this moment.
Yeah, because it's switching.
And he's like, well, I have a piece of paper in my hand with a red stamp on it from the customs department that says I have paid my tariff. But that amount, how we know how much to pay is that we know what the formula is. We know what we're bringing in. As a bonded customs broker that I am, I know what I'm getting in. I know what the rate is. I send that check to Customs, and Customs sends me back a sheet with a red stamp on it that says you paid your customs, you paid your tariff. And I take that and I go. But that all happens while the equipment is still on the boat, while the equipment hasn't gotten to the dock yet. Usually that happens about a week or two after that item has left Japan, but it has not yet arrived here. And customs are when it arrives here. And anything that happened before that is great. That's wonderful. You may be on the hook for some extra customs when it lands. And that's exactly what my friend stuck there for 3 days. He doesn't live there. He's stuck there for 3 days and he can't get his car because there is no method. John's absolutely right. There is no system in place for him to withdraw money from his account, his checking account, let's just say that's what he's using, and to push it into the pocket of the government. So they will cut him a new sheet that says he has paid today's tariff.
That would make sense why they've delayed the tariffs for 90 days. Yeah. Because now they could clear the backlog of all that stuff
they
in the docks out.
They have to.
And then anything coming in post that, then they'd be able to get the system in place to be able to bill, right?
In my little group of people that import a bunch of weird cars, and you've owned a bunch of them, right?
Yep.
You know that when that red truck came in, that red truck should have had a 25% tariff on it because it's chicken tax. Okay, so that red truck that came in should have had a 25% tariff. But we kind of snuck around that 25% tariff because we said it was an emergency vehicle. So we brought it in like it was a fire truck. We brought it in like it was an ambulance.
Oh, I needed it really badly, so it was an emergency.
But had that thing not been painted red and have fire truck lights all over it, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind it would have had a 25% tariff on it because it identifies as a truck. Now, sometimes the vans I bring in that don't have seatbelts in the back, they identify as trucks too. Even though there's 4 seats inside of them and looks like a duck, smells like a duck, it's not a duck, it's a truck. And for that, they get a 25% tariff. Now, there's a reason why big-ass vans from Ford that hold 12 Amish people are called station wagons. And they're not called vans because in a lot of states, the term van denotes that it's a commercial vehicle. and that it's used for moving cargo.
They've also redesignated SUVs as like
multi-purpose vehicles,
something
MPVs
very
or something.
odd,
Yeah,
'cause
right.
I saw it on the title and I'm like, what are they?
Yeah. So it doesn't accidentally slide into a truck category.
Oh, maybe that's why they do it.
I wonder. I absolutely wonder myself about that one. That one's a mystery, but they keep changing the classifications of things because it's a moving target.
But if you put a sink in it, is it an RV?
My school bus certainly was. I can promise you that. I went from you need a CDL to drive this to enjoy your RV with one vanity I garbage picked. I garbage picked a vanity, stuck it in there, wasn't hooked up to nothing. And I went from you need a CDL to drive this bitch to enjoy your RV.
Don't you need like a sink and a mattress?
Whatever it was, I had it. Yeah. And the funny thing was the lady didn't even walk into my vehicle. She goes, it's got a sink in. I said, of course it does. Absolutely. It's an RV. And she goes, it's mighty yellow for an RV. And I said, well, it's not always going to be yellow. Turns out it was always yellow. It never got painted. Yeah, I forgot that part. Yeah, and then the sink came right out of it too. It's magical. So it is a very strange and very odd thing. But just wanted to bring that up because it's fun. And this is a time we're all going to remember. This is a part of our lives that we are all going to look back on, just like when we look back at pictures of us from 2020 and we're all wearing silly masks, right? That's going to remind us of a certain period of time and a certain era. And then we're going to look back in 10 years at this conversation we're having right now and be like, God damn, there was a hell of a lot of wheel spinning over that, right? There was a hell of a lot of fear. I'm on several dealership motorcycle owners associations. And if you want to see any panic, the guys over at Johnny K's, you know that line they have called CFMoto? That's causing them some stress right now. Oh. Because remember we were talking about those CFMotos were a sore dick deal at $62.99? Not so much at $12,000. That's a hard one to push. That's a really tough thing to be like, and we add 125% to the cost of this vehicle. Man, that is not the time you want to have a whole lot of those. And again, if you got them right now and they're pre-tariff inventory, awesome. Great. Get the people in there to buy those things.
They cost as much as Hondas, right?
Yeah. No, it's way more, man.
Oh no, because now the new the Thailand and Vietnam tariffs have also brought the Hondas up. So now the Indian tariff, so the Nabi is now $4,000 like it used to be.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
Instead of being $2,000, the Nabi's now $4,000, which is where dealers were selling it when they first came over here.
Yeah, it is one of those
Except
things.
For now, they're not making profit.
Yeah, if you try to chase this thing down, you will go insane. I mean, you will just go insane. And here at our shop, we have so many different chains. We have so many different, where does that come from? Where does that come from? Where does that come from? The good news is I spent a lot of time and money and I bought 6 months of inventory ahead of time. So everything that's on my floor and everything that's coming in is pre-tariff. I don't have a single bike coming in that's going to be tariffed or at risk of being tariffed until fucking July. So, and who knows based on consumer confidence, if we will even sell these bikes by July. Yeah. Because the word on the street is it's very quiet in showrooms.
I mean, would you buy anything when literally the price changes every 48 hours?
Everybody's scared.
I mean, what the fuck?
Right. Everybody's scared. Yeah. You were like,
well, today it's $2,300, but tomorrow it might be $5,700. But before that, it might be $1,895. And then, Jesus, just pick a fucking number.
I just gave you my deposit. What do you mean you doubled the price of my bike?
Yeah, right. Oh,
right?
Geez.
Why don't you just put a wheel in the store and when you come
in, Jesus Christ, it's like Wheel of fucking Fortune.
Lands.
And that would be the most
idiots in charge.
And that would be the most absolute fair way to do it because it's random. It's like when Oscar had to go to the military and like pull a little bingo ball out of a thing, and if it was white, you had to go to the military, and if it was black, you didn't have to go to the military. And like, that's it. That's how it works there. You literally get a ball out of a bingo thing dispenser, and if it's a white ball, congratulations, you're going to the military.
Except for we're asking Grok, hey Grok, what's the tariff fucking today?
It is.
I don't know. 37% sounds like a good number.
It's just the goofiest damn thing. Well, anyway, but we don't want to live on that topic. But it is a creepy, weird thing. So just thought that we'd bring that up just for the hell of it. Okay. How about, and I'm trying to throw this up to the screens, guys. I really, really am. But how would you like to know about a company that takes BMW R100's and then completely 100% builds them into super cool bikes.
It's the perfect time for me to get a drink.
Yeah, super cool bikes, one-of-a-kind cafe racers. And they're not located in Germany. They're not located in Palo Alto, California. They're located in Erie, PA.
What?
Really?
No way.
I perused that and I looked at it and I looked at the bikes. I wasn't blown away by them.
Sure, yeah.
But now you say they're from Erie, PA, so you've perked my interest.
Isn't that something? I mean, I really was fascinated by that. It's two brothers, and what they've been doing is they started by taking, and this all comes up because I have a BMW R100 RT that I got, and y'all have seen it. It's beautiful, but I'm having a bit of trouble selling it because all the people that would be interested in that motorcycle are dead. Or at least on their way to being dead.
It looks kind of like they're doing a Rika kit of their own.
It kind of is, isn't it?
For
it absolutely is. It's a really, really interesting thing. But I love how they're staying in one lane, and that is they are just doing R100s. Now, the fun thing is, no matter what it is, whatever kind of thing you're building, it all starts with some kind of an R100. And the cool thing is, if you don't have an R100 to give them, they will source one for you. So that means that their shop in Erie, PA, I'm going to guess they have 400 R100s back there. Like they have bought every R100 except for mine, at least, right? Because they're probably used to buying these R100s for about $1,200 a piece with a title, and then they do all their stuff to them. But it was fun. I was looking. I was kind of looking at what they do to them. And it's neat. It was pretty cool. It was kind of the way I would build an R100 if I was going to build an R100. They named all the different bikes after different cities. So yes, there is a Cleveland one in there. And so they're all kind of just named different cities all over America. Very, very interesting builds, and very interesting builds because they are very much the brat. Oilhead owners are like Model A owners. Oilhead, we're talking about airheads, baby. Airheads.
At least they didn't bastardize an R80.
Oh, come on. I mean, I get it.
I know, I'm old. I'm the one that's dying off, so that's all right. But
why do I feel attacked? Yeah. Yes, because it's true. The guy that I got my R100 from is 74 years old.
I mean, the only reason I'm not riding it is because it's in such nice shape that I don't want to damage it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Well, and it's also
look at it sideways. I might get oil on it.
But Tom, the tires are 23 years old.
I know.
So nobody should ride that bike.
Also true.
Anywhere. It should go from my.
It's got the old laser text on it.
It should go from my showroom to whoever buys it on Bring a Trailer. Yeah. That is the only place it should be.
You nailed it. R100s are just a new format. Rest in peace, CX500s and Ferragas.
Yes.
The bottom dropped out of the airhead so much that, this is kind of a viable project.
It absolutely is, too. It is exactly it. You're like, oh, so I'm kind of an interesting guy, but I don't have any money, but I like motorcycles. Here's your CX500. That's it, right? Yep. Oh, I'm into motorcycles, but I hate crotch rockets and cruisers. Here's your CX500, right? That's exactly what it was. For the longest time, everybody that I knew that was like a punk rocker that no money in their pocket would just burn my ears off about their CX500.
Yep.
Always.
I don't understand why it breaks up under high load. Well, your inner part of your stator is bad, and you have to drop the motor to get the damn thing out.
I can also tell you what it sounds like with a rotted exhaust, a cut off exhaust, the P bodies that they bought from whatever.
Yeah.
It all has an individual like
right. Hey, I see what you did some custom work on your CX500 there. Are those MGO silencers? Yeah, $24 a piece.
Mine had sporty shorties.
Sporty shorties. Absolutely. Yeah.
Just to drown out the noise of the push rods.
Yes. I don't know. I think I need to adjust my valve. No, man. Tappy valve's a happy valve. Let it run.
Valve's a happy valve.
Right. Yeah. What's the valve adjustment interval on that CX500? Never. Never.
Dude,
never.
Any bike that has tappy valves and me don't get along because I'm so OCD about that shit when I'm riding, and I'm like, fucking, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I just adjusted you and you suck. And they're like, you guys are like, dude, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And then that lasts for like 5 minutes.
Right.
And then my brain's like, maybe they're wrong, dude. There's something. Fuck! Why is it making that noise? And then the whole cycle.
You know, you
starts
let
again.
it warm up all the way, right?
It doesn't matter, dude. Some of those bikes, like the CB350s, sound like they're broken.
I mean,
Yes.
the reality is
Absolutely.
there's never been there's only been one CX500 that I've ever come across with more than 3,500 miles on it. So
Right.
it's fine. Because the original guy bought it and went, well, this sucks.
Right. Well,
I
that's
have like 60,000 on my GL.
Okay,
500,
so now two.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're not talking about Silver Wings because the Silver Wings somehow magically got miles.
Well, they had better ignition systems.
Yeah.
no, they got miles because it was everybody that was too poor to buy a gold wing.
And they're covered in better crap.
Okay, I know a lot of people.
Poor, but I'm cheap.
I know a lot of people that had like 3 and 4 year old Silver Wings, right? And I'm not talking about the scooter here. I'm talking about the motorcycle. I know people that had 3 or 4 year old Silver Wings, and 100% of them were hardworking people that were usually doing some job in what I like to call the private security field, or like the money management, meaning that they were driving the Brinks truck, usually for about $7.26 an hour. And these guys were not captains of industry. They had a small amount of money to throw around, and they wanted a bike that they could ride for 90 million years. And it turns out that a 5-year-old Silver Wing is just the ticket. And they had zero. I mean, you talk about a bike that had no residual value. They were still in the showroom and they were half off. Yeah. Everyone.
I mean, if you walk down the street and you say, like I said, about houses around here, if you say too loudly, boy, I sure would like to have a motorcycle, someone will throw a CX500 or 650 at you.
It's
Get this out of my garage, or a Hawk. And
okay. Well,
that's just bad.
I just, okay, I get it. So
Is it like Monty Python? Bring out your dead.
Bring out your dead CX500.
Dead indeed. Yeah, it is just one of those things that he's absolutely right. R100's.
Hey, I noticed this motorcycle by the trash can. Are you going to do anything with this? Oh, look, it's a CX500.
Yes, absolutely. It is a CX500. I have garbage picked CX500s before. I've also had. It is a disproportionate number of people who have abandoned CX500s at my shop. 73 days after they said, yeah, put a tire on that. And I'm like, tires on it. Call them up. Tires on. You owe me $200. Can we finance that? And I'm like, no, we can't finance that. You son of a bitch. $200. Come and get your bike.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm too generous. In Ohio, I can start getting their title after 14 days, right? I can at least make efforts. I can bluff that I'm getting their title in 14 days. But I'm always very nice, and I'm like, no, it's okay. I got a guy who's we've done his work on his bike like for the past 58 days, 60 days. And I called him the other day to be like, dude, you going to come and pick up your bike? He goes, my mom died 4 days ago. Oh. I was like, your mom didn't die 54 days ago when I called you the first time to come and get your shit out of my shop, because if it waits one more week, we're going to have to clean the carburetor again.
Right.
Do you still have her joint account?
Right.
Get out of there.
Well, the thing is, the guy's in his 60s, right? So the guy's in his 60s. So you had to see this coming, right? It wasn't a shock to you, right?
Well, the worst part is I literally pulled parts off the shelf in the back of the shop that I was like, we will never in our lives use parts for a two-stroke 50cc Piaggio LT50.
I was trying to not out him, John, but Tom, thanks for outing him. That's cool.
He doesn't listen.
Oh, yeah, it's one of 6 of those that's in my shop right now. No, it's not. The long and short of it is, he was notified how many months ago that his bike was done.
I was shocked we had the parts.
CX500 guys, though, they don't pay their bills. So a guy who has work that needs done on a CX500, get paid up front.
It used to be like the LTD 440s were the same way, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was the same.
Oh, same customer,
people, yes.
Same exact customer.
This is a perfect time.
Get paid up front.
This is a perfect time to mention that if you get a 1-year membership to Skidmark, they give you a free motorcycle.
I think that's the program because they have so many of them left over, right?
Yeah.
Audio Vector just dropped the perfect next Motorcycle and Misfits podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Need to start bingo cards with what will be the next customized bike.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a thing that they would do. Custom bike bingo.
Right. Custom bike bingo. Well, the top 10 next future classic custom bikes.
That's it.
That will be that one's for you, Liza. You can have that one. Yeah. That one's free. I'm not going to copyright infringement that one. That one's free. Absolutely.
Look at Nick. Nick's walking past free bikes.
Every day I walk past the W650.
You know, at this point,
okay, I'm going to read it out loud for the people that are listening at home.
Though, let me know.
Every day I walk past the W650 that has been knocked over, hit by parking cars, and generally abandoned in the same spot for the past 6 months.
It takes so much self-control to not take it.
Right, exactly. yeah.
I think at this point,
That's a great bike, though. You should just take it. I'll come down there and get it.
What did we discover the most expensive part of that W650 was? The carb.
Oh yeah, because the carb kits weren't
the air filters.
That's
the air filters.
The air filter.
The air filters. For some reason, Kawasaki thought, you know what we're doing? We're making a bike that looks just like a bike we built in 1969. You know what we should do? Totally use a different air filter. And you know what we should do is we should make an air filter that the customer's only going to have to buy once. The hell with K&N getting all that action. We're going to make a Kawasaki air filter that you only need to buy once. And they're going to be atrociously expensive because you never have to replace them. You just clean them and oil them and put them back in. And then we're going to use the plastic frame that holds them all together, and we're going to make that with the shittiest glue on the planet. Yeah. And then the foam inside of it, we're going to make it out of something that is completely not okay with ethanol. So now we've got air filters that were designed to last forever that disintegrate the second they touch ethanol. And there's no replacements for them because they were designed to last forever. And instead of costing $20 like any normal fucking air filter, these cocksuckers are $125 a piece for the left one. For the right one, it's $87. Make that make sense to me. They're just mirror images of each other. Huh. And why does one got to cost $40 more than the other one?
It's like buying Honda carburetors for like a 175. You can get every left carburetor you want.
All of them.
Every single one's a left carburetor. You buy the right one. Yeah. You get on unobtainium.
The right carburetor, it'd be one thing if it cost twice as much money, but it literally doesn't exist.
Right, you can't get them.
So when I presented that situation to somebody many, many years ago about there's this weird situation with Honda motorcycles where if you have the need for a left carburetor, there are buckets of them for free on eBay. But if you have a need for the right carburetor, they don't exist. It's made out of rocking horse shit, right? So I asked somebody who's like the Honda parts guy, and you know what he told me? He said, the left carburetors, because of the controls that they use and things like that, tend to be the one that is the master carburetor in a 2-carburetor system. So on bikes where they had to have a 2-carburetor system, that right carburetor has everything slaving into the left one. So all the proprietary stuff like the choke operating lever and all that stuff exists on the left one, but not on the right one. And so in a situation where you have a bike that has 2 carburetors, well, that might use 2 carbs. If you have a bike that has 1 carb, it'll be the left carb from that system. I thought that was brilliant. It makes perfect sense. And it's a reasonable answer to the question. Why is it so hard to find certain parts? Like a CB350F has 4 carburetors. I guarantee you're only going to find the left ones. It's 4 carbs. I've been there myself. It's very hard to find the right 2 carbs on that.
When you find a rack, buy the rack.
Oh my God. I think we have 4 or 5 racks at the shop. Because every time I would see a rack of CB350F carbs, I would just buy the entire rack. Because why the fuck not? You know,
Luke and I were going back and forth about the CB350s.
I thought for a while you and Luke were going to share 1 rack of carbs.
I know.
You were going to have
it this week.
Right.
You can put it on your bike. But I found 2 of them.
Right.
This is why I randomly find racks of carburetors just squirreled away in the shop.
Yes.
Like not anywhere sensible, just like squirreled.
I went back there the other day and I was kind of roaming around looking for some parts that I needed, some stuff I needed. And I saw that you had not 1, not 2, but I think 3 5-gallon buckets just of carburetor.
Correct.
Yeah. Just of carburetor bodies. Like that was it. And I'm like, I'm going to bet inside this building there's 600 carburetors.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because every time before, and this is before me, every time they needed a Vespa carburetor, Vespa, Piaggio, Kymco, what you name it, they would go, and they would throw it in the bucket.
Yep.
And buy a new carburetor. Okay, that's cool. And now you can't get ET4.
Right. Because time is money. The
Walbro carburetors are the ones you can't get for the early 125s. And now every now and again, I'm like, I need that.
Yep.
I need that. And so I just start picking them apart.
That's one of those, isn't it?
Well, they use chainsaw carbs.
It's just who they did it, man. It was like
it's ridiculous because the
contract had to go to somebody.
First year Vespa ET4s, they used Walbro.
Yeah.
And it has an entirely different proprietary airbox system, which is this weird, convoluted, nasty, like a Kawasaki 454 carburetor or airbox, where it's got like 3 different layers to it. And then after that, they went to Kian, which is a normalized carburetor, just has one little airbox on it.
Hey, here's a good question for the Vintage Day guys. What's the cost of a rack of carbs at Vintage Days? That's what Scott Moto Adventures is asking. It's a good question with Vintage Days coming up, but it's hard to answer because it depends on what bike it is.
That's right. That's exactly right. If it's a rack of carbs for a 1981 CB750 Custom, that's free.
Yes.
And you'll trip over 73 of them.
And it probably comes with the 750K.
It might, right? But if it's a rack of carbs for a 78 CB750 K8, a single overhead cam, that's damn near unobtainium. Right? And so just saying I always use CB750 as my litmus test, because that bike existed with everything from my Cooney style carburetors that had no diaphragms and, they weren't CVK at all the way to some very early CVK style carbs, some carbs that were vacuum based, and then going to full vacuum based, like EPA friendly carbs in the 80s, right?
So they did all of them.
They did everything. Yeah. They did every one of them. So that was one motorcycle that went through everything except fuel injection.
Well, that carb on that CL125A I have, if you want to buy one, it's $725.
It is. And not to go too deeply into the weeds on any of this stuff, but it is perfectly true to say that I have had bikes come into my shop this year where replacing the carburetor alone, one single carburetor alone, exceeds the Kelly Blue Book value of the vehicle. Yes. Exceeds the the value of the vehicle. So that, we're talking pie plate price or the cash price. Somebody who's been to Mid-Ohio. Yeah. So the term of art that we use at Mid-Ohio is we say, you got to put it on the pie plate. Well, first of all, they're not pie plates. They're just paper plates. Nobody ever actually uses pie plates. They're paper plates, but for some reason, in the language of Mid-Ohio, we just call them pie plates.
I've eaten pie off of those plates.
I have too. Yeah, but when you buy them at the store, it doesn't say pie plate.
No.
It says paper plate. No. So they are paper plates. And people, when I've explained to people who've never been to Mid-Ohio before, I'm like, well, if you got a Sharpie and you got a pie plate, then you have a license to negotiate, haggle, and sell things. And you can be the coolest guy. Do it. Like be Johnny Negotiator for a while. And you buy a bike over in row 36 double D, and you might pay $800 on that bike, right? And so you see on the pie plate, on the paper plate, it says $800, right? And you're a good negotiator, so you got them down to $600, right? But the plate still says 8 on it. And you got to push that heavy cocksucker all the way back to the campsite. Take a second, find a Sharpie, and put a 1 in front of that 8. Now that bike is $1,800. And it has happened to people sitting at this table where whilst pushing a bike from the point of purchase to the point of consuming beers and celebrating, they've sold the bike for not once but twice what they paid for it. And you've got $1,800 on that thing, and you walk along, guys like, yeah, I don't know, $1,800, man. Would you take 12? I don't know.
Well, your
13?
Your trick of if it actually runs, then that becomes your riding bike with a different price.
Always.
Because all it happens is you found it before this other guy who wants it, and now you're parading it.
Yes,
that's
him. Right. That's all it is, man.
Or her. Sorry.
Yeah, and that is the magic of Mid-Ohio. The magic of Mid-Ohio is there is no way on God's green earth to determine what something is worth. It's always just what somebody's willing to pay for it.
I love... Oh, wait, what did Nick say?
Nick brought up the fact his greatest buying and selling achievement is selling the bike that he rode to Mid-Ohio on.
God.
I remember that year.
No shit. And he rode there, and then the conundrum was...
How does he get home?
How do I get home?
How do you get home?
I got a really great bike. I'm going to ride it a very long distance to go to Mid-Ohio. I'm going to ride it there, and I'll have a great bike to ride once I get there. And oops, I sold the fucker.
Yeah.
So either you got to buy another bike that you think is good enough to get you home, which if you bought it at Mid-Ohio, probably not.
No.
Right. But that's a tough one. That is a really, really tough one. And good for you. You know,
that's an achievement.
Yeah, that is an achievement.
I don't know how many people have done that. I wonder if that's not a common thing.
No, not at all.
I think Nick is in a very small club with that.
You know what? Because a lot of times you show up and you're like, okay, one year I just had enough. I was so angry at the whole thing. I was like, screw this. I'm riding my motorcycle to Mid-Ohio, so I can't bring anything with me and I can't buy anything, right? And false logic. You can still buy shit.
Yeah.
You know why? Because all your friends are going back to Cleveland.
Right.
And they have trailers they sold shit out of.
There's a U-Haul right down the street.
Not even that. I bought 2 bikes that year, the year that I rode down and slept in a tent. And I rode down and slept in a tent. I bought 2 bikes and went up to a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, you got that trailer. You had 10 bikes on there. How many you got left? I got 2. So you got like all kinds of space going back to Cleveland. Shit, yeah, I got all kinds of space. I throw these 2 bikes up on there, give you some money for gas. You know,
but you know what else is neat and what I've learned over the years? When you're looking at these trailers, you can tell how long somebody's been going to Mid-Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you go through waves. But like I remember one year I was so excited because I had like a 5x7 trailer, so I could finally get 2 bikes.
Do 2 bikes.
But then I ended up getting like 5 bikes, and then I was like trying to get this guy to take a bike home, and that because that was when my sickness was really bad.
Really bad.
But now it's like last year I went home with nothing, and you know what I mean. Like now it's good. You know, it's the other direction.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure in a few years something else will happen, and then I'll have to do that. So it's like it's weird. You get these waves. But when you see the older dude with a giant trailer with 1 bike on it and he's leaving, you're like, oh, that dude, he's been coming for a long fucking time.
You have to check the depth of the lichens growing on the bike.
You do. I like it when I take a bike to Mid-Ohio that has the pie plate on it from 3 years ago. That is a Mid-Ohio veteran.
Yes.
And it runs. It's a great bike.
The Scout still has the pie plate on it.
The Scout does still.
Not the Scout, whatever that is.
The Simba.
Simba.
Yeah, the Simba had pie plate on it, a couple of those Kimcos. They're just dead reliable.
Wait, you have another Simba?
I got a black and white Simba. Yeah, I got a black and white Simba.
No.
I wonder how many guys at the swap shop this year are going to raise prices because of the tariffs.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that is a riot. Because of the tariffs. I like it.
That's it. Everything's going to have tariff price all over the front of it.
Oh, hell yeah. Right.
Pricing.
Pre-tariff pricing. Pre-tariff pricing. But you do.
Racket SSR.
Okay, it's no different than we used to do. Yeah, Nick does. Hegdahl says, Nicholas, you need a members only jacket for that achievement. I agree.
I think he has
totally agree.
He needs the Marble, Man jacket.
Yeah. That we should do that in Mid-Ohio. We should have Thursday should be tariff pricing. Right. We're not ripping you off on Thursday.
No.
But we do understand that there's a certain degree of there's a mutual respect here where it's like you're trying to buy a bike on Thursday, which means you're hoping to take advantage of me and you think your buying power is stronger than my selling power. Right. That's Thursday's all about. Thursday's about like you see the trailer coming in and your bionic eye brain sees that it's got a Honda Cub EZ on it or something from 900 meters away, and you go running across the field and be like, dude, how much for that? How much for that? And everybody who goes into Mid-Ohio every year for the past 25 years wishes that they had a black tarp on top of their trailer so they could at least get to their fucking spot before they have people hanging on the side of their trailers.
You just need a cat sprayer, like
Actually,
keep people
the one TDM I had, the guy actually worked for Barber, and he was just like, "How much you want for that?" I said, "I don't know, make an offer." Right. I went, "Okay, I'll take that." Like before I got off the trailer.
Those are the ones that you have very mixed emotions about. Yeah. Because when you sell it off the trailer, and you're like, "Damn." That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted for that bike.
You gave me my price.
You gave me my price. That's what I wanted for that bike, and then you go, "Oh, I might have just fucked up." Yeah. And then somebody walks up to you, usually on Sunday, that says, "Hey, didn't I see that you had an MT250 Elsinore on there?" I did. Yeah, I wanted to come by and get that off you. You know that is one of only 6 of the official Honda race team bikes that they made that year. That bike's worth like $12,000. And you're like, I sold it for $750 on Thursday.
Yeah.
Then you always feel like when you sell a bike on Thursday, you always feel like the guy who's buying it off you maybe knows something you don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everything that comes off your trailer, you're just happy to see it go bye-bye.
Yes. That is absolutely
It's not going
true.
on the trailer unless it's meant to go bye-bye.
The Jawas love us on Sunday.
The funniest part is I sold that TDM
Yeah.
You know what I did with the money? I bought the buddy that I still ride. I was like, you know what? I'm happy as shit.
It is completely gratifying.
It's only a 1 year purple. I said,
Didn't they make like a TDM 80 or something like that?
They made all of them.
Yeah, they made all of them.
You just had to live in weird places to get them.
Yeah.
So if you could, like with TDMs, it was one of those things that Yamaha ran forever. So if you did like TDM 80, sure. If somebody came up to me and said there was a TDM 837, I'd be like, sure, why not? Fuck it. Yamaha did all kinds of stuff. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, just because we're talking about Yamaha, just real quick, Long Haul Paul.
Yes.
Have you heard of him?
I have, absolutely.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit of an article about him, and it's a guy who has MS, and he's trying to raise money for MS, and he's trying to rack up 1 million miles. And I was like, wow,
he'll do it.
He had 200,000 on a T7, the Tenere 700, and a couple other bikes. It's like, wow, 400 like crazy mileage.
Yeah.
Like he in 1 year rides more than some people's lifetime achievement. I mean, probably
absolutely.
more than mine, easily more than mine.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of his job, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what he's doing.
That he drives around.
When his mom called him Long Haul Paul, seriously, when he was born and they stuck him with that name, come on. Yeah. What options did he really have?
I know. His sister Candy was also really...
Long Haul Candy? Weird.
Yes. I don't know what you guys were thinking. I was obviously meaning she was a long haul rider.
Right. Absolutely.
Gutters.
Yeah. Oh, so bad. Yeah. If anybody has a device that Sleepy can get into, or maybe Sleepy can pull it up, I'm not sure. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle going over at Harley Davidson. And at this point, I'm actually starting to feel bad for a billionaire. They're
never.
I know. It's so fucking bad. But
Tom Rice Krispie.
Oh,
they're
they fired their CEO, didn't they?
They I don't know if they fired him, but they just gave him the option of a very early retirement. Yeah, and that particular fella who's taking this particularly unexpected hiatus. He's been through some shit. I gotta say, trying to satisfy Harley owners is not easy. Like, that is not a cool thing. Harley owners are very, very fickle, and they have the highest sense of entitlement I've ever seen in my life about, like, they changed that bike to a liquid cooled head and they didn't call me first. That's great, dude. How many shares of HD do you own? How many shares of Hog do you have? Or shares? Okay, so you're not on the board. All right. When was the last time you bought a Harley Davidson?
Oh, they haven't made a good one since 1970.
I got a 98 Dyna, and that's the bike I'll die with. Yeah. Okay, so you don't exist to them, right?
Right.
You are not buying anything they're selling, and your opinion is wrong. Okay? So, fair, right? Objectively wrong. But you have a 1%er patch and a YouTube channel that has got 2 million equally wrong subscribers. So they can brother themselves into oblivion.
This is how they satisfy themselves.
The point being, it is the echo chamber of all echo chambers, right? And if you say, I was going around the corner and I saw a lady backing out and there was clippings, so I had to lay her down, you will have 9 million likes. They're all going to say, been there, brother. God bless. Right?
I thought you were going to say, I saw a Tesla behind me, so I had to lay it down.
So I had to lay her down.
But I mean, I have been seeing, and this exists, where there are some dudes now that are doing the high performance Harleys, and actually, like, I think the whole like bagger racing thing kind of inspired some of the younger guys.
I agree.
So I think there is kind of a cooler Harley Davidson thing happening.
Sure.
That isn't an embrace. It's obviously adopted some of like the badassery of the OGs, if you will, but they're also like millennials or whatever, so they're bringing their own style into it. And it's actually not
one of the things I noticed in New Orleans, okay, because the moped group in New Orleans, I cannot remember what it is, but what they found, similar. Well, it's one of the derivatives of Moped Army, but the mono guys, they found out you could buy a Sportster for a song and a dance, and they were like, well, I can buy all this crap I've been buying for my moped that I, blow up, throw up, or I can buy a Sportster 883 for like $900 that needs a battery and ride the shit out of that. And they were like, well, fuck it, we'll all buy Sportsters. So they all went through this thing, and they're like, we still wear the same outfits with the cutoff patched jacket, vests and shit, and little helmets that they have to wear because the cops don't fuck with them. And they're like, this is the cheapest thing gone. And I was given my normal amount of shit about Harleys. And they're like, yeah, but you got to realize they're fucking cheap. We're all cheap. We drink cheap beer and we work service industry in New Orleans. What the hell else do we need? And I was like, you make a very good point.
And I mean, for being cheap, like if you pay 25 grand for a Harley, you're probably overpaying.
Yeah.
But for a cheap bike, they don't suck.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? You're getting a fucking decent bike.
That 1200 Sportster that I fixed for a dude that had the really high mileage Savage or whatever it was, I told you. So this just kind of changed my mind on how okay they are.
It is a thing that I will make it. I'll make it as fucking clear as I can make it. Okay. If your Harley Davidson is in the Evo spectrum or later, you probably own a motorcycle you're going to be able to spend not very much money on. And because it has been owned by an American who owns a garage, that bike is probably not real rusty. The bike probably runs pretty fucking good. And the bike probably has less than 30,000 miles on it, which all of these things put together means if you paid less than $5,000, you kind of got a sorted deal. Yeah. So let's move forward to today. They have got a Harley Davidson that is available at your dealer that has the most modern of the Harley Davidson engines. It is called the
1000
Harley Davidson Nightster 1000. A little code for you and the people who are not real familiar with Harley Davidson. When they call anything a night something, that is code for cheap, meaning no chrome. Right. So a Nightster would be a chrome free kind of a thing. Right. But the point is, this is a 1000cc made in America V-twin motorcycle for less than $10,000. And it is not just the old, Sportster Evo that they've been kicking around for the past 30 years, 40 years.
Are you sure it's made in America?
Nope.
It is assembled in America.
Again,
that's the point.
Right.
You're talking
for use of patch and or tattoo. It is made in America.
Okay.
Right. Right. As much as your brothers down at the VFW care, it's an American motorcycle.
Okay.
Right. I would not say you could probably get away with the same thing by having a 350 tracker or 400cc tracker made by QJ. That might be too obvious. Just like Buell's never got a lot of respect. But the Harley Davidson Nightster at $9,999, which by the way is a fuck you price to Indian because they're a Scout. They are in a price war between those two companies. The consumer will benefit from this price war because both of these guys want to make sure that they have a motorcycle they can sell you that has their pinnacle badging on it of Indian or Harley Davidson, and it's less than $10K. Now, you may not be able to get that thing anywhere near out of the showroom for $10K because Harley Davidson's famous for a $1,200 freight charge.
Well, after you're done with the chrome and the skulls and the flames and the additional
10 t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's more likely to
the chain drive wallet.
But on this motorcycle, what they do is they do embrace
the bell too. The bell. You forgot
fucked up gas. They embrace the fucked up fake gas tank.
My favorite part is the Born to Be Alive Dickies official wear. By the way,
but what?
Born to Be Alive Dickies limited edition apparel. Like not
Born
kidding.
to Be Alive.
Born to Be Alive. That's the tag.
But that's a disco song.
Yeah. Born to Be Alive.
Born to Be Alive is the name of the market. Is this the market?
I am not joking.
Is this co-branded between Dickies and Harley Davidson? Born to Be Alive.
Born to Be Alive. Born to breathe air. I mean,
Born to Be Alive.
Oh look, it's the Harley Davidson Visa card.
Well, but we're not even worried about that. I just got to call out a particularly bad marketing slogan. Not Born to Be Wild. I get it. That's fine, right?
Born to Be Alive.
Born to Be Alive is really lowest common denominator, man. That is really lowest common denominator. That is low hanging fruit. You'd be like, I don't know if I'm qualified by Harley Davidson. I don't know if I'm really born to be wild. But are you born to be alive?
Yeah. Born to have a pulse.
I checked that box. Sure. Good. Come on in and get your Harley Davidson.
I'm born to
truly
eat,
are marketing to anybody.
Born to eat and poop.
Born to eat and poop. You know what I like? I like food.
My twin brother was born to be not alive, and he's not really enjoying.
That's exactly
that
right.
now. So.
Right. And he's not a potential buyer on the Harley spectrum.
Right.
Which means their marketing system is working.
Who's got disco? Oh. Born to Be Alive.
Well, now we've been
Well, yes.
Oh, shit, now we got
that wasn't the song. That was Chris singing.
Now we've got demonetized.
Right. That was Chris singing. I was doing
I got to contribute something tonight.
Yeah.
Now it's demonetized.
I think we're probably going to be okay on this one.
Chris.
It's all your fault, Chris.
I'll make up for it.
Great. What was that on Epic Records? I think they're there anymore.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but probably at this point somebody owns the catalog. So yeah, it'll be whoever it is. And watch, it'll be somebody like Gene Simmons. He'll be like, yeah, I own the entire Epic Records catalog now, just so I can sue people.
No, he sold all this, Swedish AI, I think. Like it's all,
really?
Yeah, he doesn't have any money. He has all the money anymore. He doesn't have all the.
Okay.
Not to go negative on Harley, because I do like Harleys.
Yeah, for you know.
But I sent a couple of those videos this afternoon to you guys, but it was when you guys were talking about their marketing strategy and everything. So there's a whole bunch of videos going around now about the 2025 bikes exploding with like 100 miles, 300 miles, 500 miles. Something's going on them, right?
Something's going on.
But the funny part is every single dude that's doing the video is wearing like a Harley Davidson t-shirt with like a Harley Davidson vest, with a Harley Davidson hat, with a Harley Davidson belt. Like they got all these guys for their brand new, and the thing is it's not like a weathered used thing.
No, it's fresh.
Like all the shit that they're
cost
wearing.
more money.
What?
The pre-worn everything costs like $1,000.
Hold on.
To see these guys,
there's a name for that.
What?
Yeah.
Distressed?
It's the Street Cred edition.
Oh, right.
And if you think I'm lying, look it up.
Is it Born to Be Alive?
No, are you serious? Street Cred?
If you
Don't you start.
Worn on set with Sons of Anarchy.
Where can I buy me some street cred?
And nothing made my eyes roll harder, almost out of my head. An audible eye roll was when I was when I'm at the vendor, I'm at the show, and they have Harley Davidson's new Street Cred line, which was literally jackets with the sleeves cut off poorly. Patches already affixed that look like they've been dragged behind a golf cart through down a gravel trail, and then brought and put on the shelf to be hanged.
Listen, I can't say shit because the guitar scene has all these motherfuckers
patinaed in.
Exactly, patinaing these guitars and then charging $5,000, and you're like, if I pay $5,000 for a guitar, I want to do all the shit to it. I don't want somebody else and then they have this dude. There's a whole documentary about the motherfucker at Gibson that does this shit. And he's got it down now. Like if you want this level of distress, he has certain chains and this and that they drag over it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what kind of an insane person? Like what?
So you can fantasize about the rock shows that put those marks on your guitar.
Like, do they have a guy that bleeds and sweats into your fretboard that fakes the 10,000 hours that you fucking practiced? Like, I don't right? Like, what the fuck?
It's just cow's blood.
They're literally taking apart Willie Nelson's guitar, to find where the wear marks are and how to replicate them.
Clone the motherfucker from his guitar. There's so much DNA pressed into Willie's guitar.
They do say guitars get better the more you play them. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a machine that just will play.
Oh, there is. Oh, dude, even for acoustic guitars,
Yeah.
they have a thing that you put on and it generates the exact signals that playing the strings do.
No
but then you can
way.
amplify it, so it'll take like a weekend in the closet going is equivalent to 20 years of playing at bars. Like it's pretty. It opens the wood up and it makes guitars louder and brighter.
Oh, God.
It's really kind of cool.
I just realized an acquaintance of mine in New Orleans has what's called a Plek machine, Plek
Oh,
machine.
Jesus.
He has a Plek.
Okay, I want to talk to you.
Oh God!
So a Plek is a robotic. It takes your guitar neck and it analyzes it, scans it in 3D.
Okay. Yeah.
So instead of just polishing a fret and making them kind of flat, this motherfucker is 3D scaling your whole neck, straightening it, doing everything, and then flattening the frets to like fucking perfection.
Really?
Oh yeah. They're like, Luthier, fuck you, dude. We got a fucking computer for that shit now, man.
Nice.
It's nuts.
So yeah. Right.
But it's like $350 to have a guitar plecked.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's nuts.
That's one of those things, and that's the difference. So, and when you buy anything that's pre-patinaed, right?
So weird.
It's so weird. It's just the strangest thing.
Working at Summit, going to all these fucking hot rod shows are the dudes that spent $29,000 on a paint job to have fake fucking patina. So they've taken a car down to bare metal and brought it up, and it's like a $100,000 fucking build, right?
Yeah.
They could have painted it any color, and it would have been beautiful.
Absolutely.
But they didn't find it with patina.
No, they
couldn't
painted it
find
out.
that.
Right.
And it's kind of even the best patina jobs, even the ones where they use acid and actually rust the shit.
Yeah.
There's something about them that just, it's not real, you know? And you look at it and you're like, the guy's all proud of himself standing there. And I'm just like, oh, you're so fake. You're
In
like,
episode 49 of this podcast, I came back from the Indy Dealer Expo and I had brought with me some documents.
Yeah.
And one of them was from a helmet company that sold a helmet.
Oh, no.
That was patinaed. Now, we all know that helmets are not made out of sheet metal.
No.
Not the good ones, right? And yet this helmet had what anyone would call 37 years of farm rust on it, right? On its very clearly not steel shell, right? And that this particular helmet company this was their big thing about that year. And I mean, it was 10 years ago when patina was like super expensive, right? It was the cool thing to have was patina. And this company's got all these patinaed out helmets in the booth. And I walked in and I saw the thing. And because I'm a true believer in like people's dumb shit marketing ideas, I thought that they had actually done what? I thought they actually made I thought they made a steel helmet. I thought somebody had pressed out a steel helmet.
Stainless, it's fine because the Cybertrucks are rusting.
I thought that somebody had pressed out a steel helmet.
Don't you fucking say it again.
Pete is going to take serious issue with you hating on Elon. Okay. When I saw that, I was like, I'm going to walk across this aisle. I'm going to go over and grab one of these helmets, and it is going to be heavy, and it is going to be stupid, and I'm going to fall in love with it because somebody made a helmet out of metal to complete the look of a patinaed out thing. And then I went, or they just fucking fake patinaed a plastic helmet, which is exactly what they did. They just totally took all my joy out of the situation. The guy handles it to me, and I'm like, so how do you tell when it's fucked up? Like, normally, everybody's like, well, you can only drop a helmet one time and you get another one. I'm like, this helmet looks like it's been dragged behind a van. Like, the whole idea behind this helmet is it looks like it's been dragged behind a van. It's got battle damage on it already. How am I supposed to tell my customer, dude, you need to buy a new helmet? Other than the fact that you just painted patina on plastic. So now you need to buy a new helmet because this one's dumb.
Yeah.
And it really was. And I was like, well, there you go. It's a thing.
There's a lot of really on like all these different websites and eBay and stuff. Right now, they're having a huge rash of fake helmets.
Yes, they are.
And the weird part is that the quality has gone up.
Yes, it's very hard to tell.
It is. So now, you're looking at these things, and like the old days, you'd look as soon as you saw the inside of it, and the pads and the cheek pads and the way they were put in, you were like, this is a fake fucking helmet.
Of course.
Now it's almost like they have backdoored the cheek pads and everything, but it's more down to the shell. And just recently, I don't know who did it. It was on YouTube, but a guy, it was just toward the end of last year, but they had the helmets and they took a real AGV this. Yeah. Because most of the ones they're bootlegging are high end helmets. They're not bootlegging $120 HJC.
No, they're not.
Yeah. So you're talking the big high end MotoGP ones, whatever, the Rafas and all that. And they had a real one, and they did the whole test where they dropped that 25-pound sphere onto the thing. Right. And on a real helmet, it just, especially the carbon one, it literally fucking bounced up 5 feet, bounced again.
Sure.
They pulled this other one that was official, blah, 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 whatever, off of eBay, put it there, and they dropped the ball and went right through the fucking helmet.
That's exactly right.
It didn't even slow down. It just went right through it.
I've grabbed customers' helmets in the shop, and I was like, oh, well, look at you, Mr. Spendy. You went out and got yourself a real fancy $400 Bell Bullet. And then I grabbed the lid and I'm like, oh, no, this is not made out of Bell Bullet. This is made out of Chinesium. And I'll look at it and go over the thing. I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty respectable, the liners, the brown, simulated leather and everything else. And it looks every bit like a $400 Bell Bullet. So they're not just copying the $1,200 helmets now. They're copying the $400 helmets.
Well, most of these are probably pulled from the same molds at the back of the same warehouse factory.
I don't think so.
No?
No. I can promise you this. A rye, if you try to leave a rye with a helmet, you're going to get shot in the face by a Japanese samurai warrior with a crossbow.
Not only that, man. Right. I had an older rye. It was probably 7 years old.
Right.
And so I was going to throw it out. And I'm like, you know what? I want to fuck with this thing.
Right.
And you hit one of them motherfuckers. It's crazy, dude. Yeah. I couldn't break it. it would smash and stuff, but I couldn't, couldn't get a bat to go through the helmet or anything like that.
So Shui used to sell their old molds to a company called Taurus. And believe it or not, Taurus was out of Brazil. They make guns and helmets, right? They make other things. It's always a gun involved, man.
Manufacturing concern, yes.
Manufacturing concerns. They make guns and helmets. And so that that company, Taurus, always would have like last year's Shoei's lids, but at like $99. So I mean, $99 in year of our Lord 1992, but they were considerably about a third of the price of the Shoei product. And with Taurus, the thing that Taurus replicated better than anybody's ever replicated was the Smith & Wesson Model 29 handgun, right? Taurus did a better job of that than, anyone else did. The K-frame, when Taurus replicated it, Taurus actually made it a hell of a lot better. And they are
cheap.
They are known for doing things better than the original at 1/3 of the price. And that has kind of always been a thing. Shoei does backdoor sell their old stuff. I don't think Arai does. I think Arai is very, very careful about that. I think Schuberth is very, very careful about that. But that doesn't stop one Chinese guy from buying one Arai helmet and taking it home and literally replicating it, using grade 7 Chinesium ABS plastic that's not going to stop an impure thought. It's just, these are things that are easy to rip off. And it is easy to rip it off.
So, and somebody told me one of the ways that you can find is if you can get them to you say like, hey, I'd like to see some detailed pictures of that helmet. And then on the back, even if it's like, you're buying a European helmet that's only going to have the ECE or the Snell rating. Yeah. Or if it has a dot one, right, you can go and look that number up. And a lot of times what they do is, since they don't understand English, they don't understand why that thing needs to be there. They just know it's on a lot of the helmets. They'll all use the same number. So they're all using the same like dot number from like an Arai RX-7, and you bought a Shoei.
And that helmet's not what it is.
So like if they have detailed pictures, always try to see if there's a number underneath the
We had
dot.
some pretty high-end parts come in from one of our manufacturers in Italy. And I had a very strong suspicion that the parts were being made in India because on the hologram, on the box and the part, and the hologram on the part itself, which was one of these things that they were doing a few years ago to show that it was authentic, they put a hologram on because you can't duplicate a hologram. Well, on the hologram, it said hologram. And I was pretty sure when the hologram said hologram that it wasn't an authentic part. This might not be actual Melosi. I'm pretty sure Melosi's not putting hologram on their holograms.
It's like in Free Guy when the guy's saying tagline.
Right, tagline.
Oh God, it was so good.
Oh man. It's just one of those just crazy, creepy things. Is anybody getting ready yet or thinking about a Distinguished Gentleman's Ride? I've thought about it.
I was thinking about it today. And
I was thinking about it.
Well, can we talk about the fact that fourth winter hit and then shut all my thinking about music or motorcycles down for a minute?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be able to go.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that, Sleepy. I just work at a motorcycle shop. A crematorium. No, I mean mausoleum. I mean, no, a place where nobody fucking goes.
Well, you have a hearse out front.
I do have a hearse out front, but there's nobody. There's nobody. And I mean, nobody coming into my shop these days.
Guy.
It is awful. So, John, you dropped a bomb.
I don't think I'll be able to go. I got to work that weekend. So.
Like your boss isn't going to let you off.
It's my operating weekend. So.
Like your boss isn't going to let you off.
Well, I'll talk to Nick next week.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I like trotting that right out in front of your boss. That's
so this
fucking
guy,
it's all right. Nick's the best.
This fucking guy, he's pulling the old found my headphones and pulled it half out, so all my shit, the whole audio went out.
Oh, and you just dropped. Yeah, you literally dropped a load in your pants.
What the fuck just happened? Yeah. Like everything just died.
Yeah, that is how the fuck was Sleepy.
I love this guy. He's awesome.
Thank you. I know.
I'm thinking that maybe for the 500th episode, we either just do it in the basement or we do it at Skidmark with just a portable 8. Like I got that portable HP 8 system.
Or why don't we just have an event? Why don't we just have an event to celebrate the 500th? So we do the 500th episode and we have an event with Skidmark. I talked to Ryan. Ryan said we can. He said he's ready to go.
I love all this talk.
Okay.
But this is 7 days.
Yeah. What?
Well, we're at episode 499.
Well, no, I'm not saying on the same day.
Okay. All right.
What I'm saying is since everything's kind of happening right now,
right.
It's kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. The season's just getting going, the shop's just
I have a feeling this 500th event is starting to sound a lot like the Mid-Atlantic Bad Decisions route. We talk a lot about it,
right?
But very little of it ever happens.
Well, we're
good at that.
I've made calls. I have production people waiting.
Yeah, and I understand Ryan standing by with 24 microphones.
Yeah,
right. Is fantastic. But my point is also pick a weekend that's free.
That's the problem.
Between now and September 7th,
right? Where
we can all be there, and then we're going to have the party on that day. Because I did look at the calendar, and there is a justifiable and reasonable excuse for any single person. The one that is the least out of control would be like we just show up there on Thursday like we normally do the podcast.
Or I thought we said Wednesday because Dan was leaving on.
Well, and that would have to be something we'd have to make the adjustment for, of course, absolutely. So the decision is going to be like, I don't think we need to tell people, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to book my airfare to Cleveland so I can be at the ClevelandMoto's 500th podcast. Because we have gotten emails to that effect.
Oh, God.
Really?
Okay? And so to keep people from making bold and heroic but pointless decisions, we love you, but don't do anything special on our account. Yeah, we are famous for not showing up at our own shit. Mm-hmm. That is it. This is not anyone here's only job. Okay, this is something we do for fun, and we're not that serious about it. Do you know why Liza has over 600 episodes? Because they don't fucking miss one. We're proving that we treat this like the ninth duck in the fucking litter, right? It's totally expendable, right? Yeah, if we got to miss it, we got to miss it. That's fine. That's fine. It's cool. Nobody here has ever experienced a hardship, hopefully, because of this podcast. You just kind of go, I can't make it. It's going to be fine. Apparently, except for me. So when I go away, nobody ever runs the podcast. I'm not here.
Seems like it'd be more appropriate to have the 500th podcast.
Yeah.
In a meat cooler with a candle heating everybody. With R2D2 or
literally bring out the old HP4. Yeah. Hey, Redonk. Redonk threw $5 at us. That is pretty cool.
And a very cute little.
And he got a cute raccoon emoji. Oh. Raccoon emoji.
Well, we got the craft services get a lot of couple things coming in.
Right.
If we're not going to do...
Yeah, I don't want people out there spending non-refundable airfare to come to Cleveland. Because do not expect me to make your weekend special if this event doesn't happen when you think it's going to happen.
And you're not going to crash on my floor down here. So
that's also true. Right. That's it.
You got to find an Airbnb or a hotel.
Yeah, Tom does weird stuff. You don't necessarily want to be in the house when that happens. The
cat does weird stuff too. You don't want to
anyway,
her down here.
We don't need that shit. But anyway, just want to bring that up. So because people are, hey man. And then speaking about our podcast people, Renee, God bless Renee, she has tried really hard to satisfy all of our Patreons because she wants them to have cool stuff. And so she's been, today at the shop, 16 boxes and or bags of goodies went out to our Patreons.
How's our fingers?
Nice.
That's a lot of stuffing.
That is a lot of stuffing.
Stuffing boxes like crazy over there. So there's a Vincent Locke, or Locke if you're French, I suppose, Louque, who is a Patreon member, but Renee wants to send him a shirt and would like to know what his shirt size is. And she's sent him several emails and has not gotten a response. And then there's another one named Joseph Mercer. So if you're listening, Joe Mercer, get in touch with Renee, ClevelandMoto@gmail.com or whatever, yell out your window, ClevelandMoto and your shirt size, because she does like to send people the right size shirts. If she doesn't have your shirt size, she's going to send you a small. Do you know why? Because I got like 300 small shirts in my shop. Here's a trick about t-shirts. I bet you didn't know this. When you order a shit ton of t-shirts to print, right? They have what's called a standard mix or a standard run.
Never take that.
And the standard run is all about like 2 extra smalls, 4 smalls, 6 mediums, 8 larges, 4 extra larges, 2 double extra larges. That's a run.
Can I tell you a secret?
And it's wrong.
As a guy who worked at Jack Prince, or I mean, maybe not, whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, statute of limitations is long gone on that.
That changed according to whatever we needed to get rid of.
Yeah,
so the standard package was easily adjusted in the website to be like, we had a big run on larges, so we only standard. Okay, 3Xs this time. Let's get. Those have been here for fucking 16 months. So 3Xs.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about Jack Prince. I'm talking about Phil called Beefy T, and I called Beefy T and said, "Hey, I need 800 shirts," and they're like, "Do you want a standard run?" or do you want to go a la carte? And I'm like, well, what's the difference? If we give you a standard run, that's going to be $3.87 per shirt. If you go a la carte, it's going to be $5.48 per shirt. I will have the standard run very much. And now I know why you don't do that, because people who ride motorcycles don't tend to be extra smalls or smalls. No. So I have got a metric shit ton of small shirts. Now, things could get weird at Mid-Ohio. We could come up with some kind of fun game for people to try to fit into a small shirt. It might be all kinds of cool.
No,
right?
One for you and one for your kid.
Right. That's right. There you go.
Well, I'm getting a T-shirt gun.
T-shirt cannon. Good idea.
Yep.
Oh, Hegdahl says, tell Renee thank you for me. I just got my box today. And tell her I'm so sorry I never saw her email. The shirt fits perfect. Right on, man. Good. There we go. That's good feedback on our shirt selections. I got to buy a press, because we've been doing, I say we like I do it. I don't do it. Renee does it. We've been using like the old school screen printing, silk screening. Because Renee had all the gear, right? When I met her, she was already silk screening shirts for rock bands and stuff. And that was great. She already owned that shit. 5-spot stage, rack, super cool. And she had the heater and all the stuff. Well, that's fun. But do you know who hand pulls screens these days? Nobody. Because technology has made it dumb to do that. So instead what they do is they screen onto a piece of, I'm just going to say wax paper. It's not wax paper. But they do screen. It's still screen printed, but it's screen printed onto a piece of paper, and as many layers as they need to do to get all the colors they want to get. It's just like doing it on a shirt, but you're not doing it on a shirt. They put it on a piece of paper. You put it on the shelf, and you got 100 of them there. And then if somebody says, I need a triple extra medium shirt, you grab the triple extra medium shirt, you put it in the press, and 30 seconds later, the people have what they need. And then you don't have to print 75 small shirts nobody's going to buy.
And the quality of them has gone up so much. It's great.
Well, what's funny is, like, if you think that you're wearing a printed shirt and you run your fingers on it, you go, yeah, that's definitely silk screened. Technically, the sheet was silk screened, but how it went onto the shirt was with an iron, with a heat press, right? With a heat press.
So we're all the way back to the late 70s, early 80s.
We are now in transfers.
With the transfer thing. Man, I want the whole glitter woodchuck thing.
DTF, man, direct transfer. Right?
There's a whole bunch of people saying that they'd put their kids in baby gear of ClevelandMotos and kid shirts.
Right.
So maybe
especially when those things come up for $5 a piece.
My parents are crazy and listen to ClevelandMoto podcast shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, the run of ceremonial onesies.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. My dumb parents listen to ClevelandMoto. My mom doesn't even ride a motorcycle, but she listens to ClevelandMoto podcast.
My dad was busy listening to the podcast and didn't pull out.
Tomorrow we're starting a whole new line of children's clothing, and that is going to be the first one off the press.
I was conceived while my dad was listening to ClevelandMoto podcast in the garage. I was not conceived in the garage. Yeah, it is that funny thing when I was ripping through the shirts today, and I was like, what do you mean? We don't need more shirts, Renee. We have plenty of shirts. We have tons of shirts. And I'm going back and I'm like 300, 320, 340, 300. I'm like, Renee, we have 360 shirts. And she goes, check the sizes. And I'm like, we have 360 shirts that are medium and smaller. And that is not the place to be.
I mean, I've already posted Fat Man in a little coat when I was
get it.
a couple weeks ago.
We just need the styles to change a little bit. That's it. I can squeeze into a medium, and it'll be all right. We'll be good.
Every time I see something like that, I always think of Will Ferrell in those tight shirts with his little gut rolled out the bottom.
Perfect.
That's going to be the calendar, by the way, is every one of us wearing small and medium shirts.
Oh, shit.
You know what? It's totally, I think it's such a double standard, because it's totally cool when there's a little extra boob coming over the top. Right? But it's totally not okay when there's a little extra gut rolling out the bottom of the shirt. Yeah. We don't get the same.
Is that not sexy, ladies? Do you not want this?
It's not fair. It's just not fair.
Well, I heard side nut is coming into style. Like side boob was big for a while, but side nut shot.
Pull them tidy whities to the side, baby.
Just because we're getting older.
Sean's not here. Damn it.
As a culture, and as we become older as a culture, there's no other option.
No.
Right.
You got to watch the boxers, keep them a little tighter. You don't want the side nut shots randomly to somebody,
I'm sure the Beechwood Aesthetic Clinic offers a nut tuck procedure. I'm absolutely certain of it.
They have a tester, and you sit down, and if your balls hit the water, they're like right this way, sir.
Come on over here. Yep. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that happens. I absolutely promise that when it comes to the stock of stuff that we have at the shop, there are things at my store that I bought in the first run of things at my store. Meaning there's items in my shop that are over 25 years old.
I think I found an Italjet shirt the other day.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah.
There's a whole stack of Bajaj.
I've got Bajaj and Malaguti shirts and all that kind of crap too. Like I still have all kinds of Royal
Taiwan Golden Bee.
I have all kinds of Royal Enfield shit that's still in the packaging, right?
Yeah, so just put together a vintage rack.
Right, yeah.
Well, we were thinking about for Mid-Ohio doing like the super secret packages where you just wrap them in brown paper and you throw crap into the box. Like whatever we grab, just throw it in a box, wrap it in brown paper, and it's a mystery.
It's a mystery box, but the real deal was like for the longest time, our shop prided itself. We carried at our store, all the foreign magazines. We carried Classic Bike. Oh, yeah. We carried all the British magazines. We carried the Scootering. We carried all the stuff. And so you'd come into our shop back before the internet ruined everything. And you could come into our shop and you could take care of your toilet obligations for like the next month and spend $20 and have all these cool things, right?
Well, the amount of magazines, I was looking today at the amount of magazines that are still there.
Oh, now they're classic. Now they're worth more. You've had them long enough that they've gone up in value.
What Tom doesn't know about is I have 4 totes, and each tote weighs 80 pounds, and they're all brand new magazines.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you say, I want 25 of Classic Bike magazine for the shop, they're going to send you 25 Classic Bike magazines. And you can't just send them back.
No.
Right? And sometimes on those magazines, it was like a 25 was a minimum run.
Yep. And think about it. Mike's seat probably started 7 of those magazines over
Cafe
the years.
Racer.
Yeah, Cafe Racer.
Son of Cafe Racer.
What's the,
Street Fighter.
the box of
Brat Bobber.
Oh, look. Schwarzer wants 3 shirts.
Hey,
Sweargen, I want a 3-star shirt. That was okay.
Fuck.
Some of the art that we've got. Yeah.
That's a good
segue.
That's a good shirt.
That's a good segue because you guys are sleeping on me. Not just Meckle Fresh, but other guys are sleeping on me too. We're not going to wake them up. It's the only sleep he gets. No. Seriously.
Well, this is the great part because nobody knew it before because it was just quiet. They thought John was just being quiet.
But now with the video,
now they know.
You're like, dude, somebody Lee Harvey Oswald, John. Oh, if you take the hat off that, it's just a big dick.
That'll teach him That'll teach him to unplug my headphones.
What is it? Penosaurus Rex.
Penosaurus Rex. There you go.
That's from
Wait, didn't we used to have the sleeping dildo? What happened to the dildo for the sleeper? We lost it.
Wasn't that the wooden one?
That was pre-Tom. Oh, I have to bring that back.
The wooden one. Yeah, that was the wooden dildo.
Yeah.
He looks like a unicorn now.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I got the
unicorn.
I have the dick I got from Sweden. It's a 14-inch wooden hand-carved dick from Sweden.
That's a bottle opener.
And it's it's not a bottle opener.
Not a bottle opener?
It's a bird feeder. Because in Sweden they have the ball birds that hang over the dick.
They hang over the dick.
And so everybody in Sweden has dicks on their house because they hang the balls off of
Right on, man.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, we we're thinking about doing the party packs too. We're just gonna we
can hear him.
Evil Dead Alive. We knew. We could hear him. Yeah. There's that point in the podcast where Sleepy has to understand. He's like, "Where's that noise coming from?"
Oh, good question. Yeah. Good question.
Will ClevelandMoto be picking a winner for the art contest? Thank you, MotoSmith. By the way, what he did was he just got us back on the rails. We had a squirrel moment.
Yeah.
Everybody went their own way.
So my Cleveland Pornhub one is going to be the winner, right?
Okay, back to reality. Right. We have had about 5 submissions.
Okay.
In our ClevelandMoto logo art contest from the same guy.
Okay.
So I'm cool. He's overachieving. That's cool. However, if you have a Sharpie and a piece of paper, or like the Photoshop skills of an 8-year-old,
doesn't matter. I know.
Or the Canvas skills.
Yeah.
But the point is, I wanted it to be people from the podcast.
No, that's what I'm saying. But if you have an idea and you can't get it
that's
out,
my point.
Just put it there and we can make the idea.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
If you have an idea, something that you think we've missed on, something we were sleeping
John
on.
with a penis head.
Exactly.
Well, but okay, but I'm going to help you guys if you want to listen to some ways to cheat. okay, if it's one color, that looks the best on a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. Sending me something that's like 7 different levels of grayscale and, whatever, it doesn't always translate the best to a logo.
No, but a logo that can be both. So a logo that can be printed in color.
Right.
Or be great in a silhouette is a fucking winner. That's a good logo.
Our helmet logo, the ClevelandMoto helmet logo, is a top fucking thing because it can be used in a circular format. And it's it's one color, monochrome. It can be used in all kinds of different things. That's a great logo. That's a fantastic logo. You do not have to be super great at Canva or Photoshop or, you don't need to do that. Just get your idea. And, if you have to literally Sharpie it and take a picture of it with your camera.
Go talk to AI and tell AI your idea, and it can probably design it.
They'll probably do a good job.
Yeah,
some of these ones that came in were definitely AI, right? So and I have no problem with that because what we're looking for is something that makes us all go, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. And that's cool enough to end up. But the one podcast that came in, of course, it had the old timey microphone and underneath it had 3 stars. And I was like, that's perfect. That's the way it should be. That's pretty good.
That's a good shirt, though.
Yeah,
that's a good
That's
shirt.
a pretty good shirt. I appreciate that. So that's great. And because we are going to go to a little bit of a different printing process at the shop, so we won't have to be so labor intensive about saying, hey, if we're going to commit to doing greasy kid stuff like ink and squeegees and screens, if anybody's never made a screen printed t-shirt before, burning that screen, turning the art into heat and into an image on a screen, right, is a lot of work. And with the modern method of screens that are printed onto pieces of paper that become transfers, hell, then if you have your own shirt, I can just mail you the screen. I can mail you the print, the art, the square, the piece of paper, and that's done. I mean, I literally just had them send me. I made like 200 logos for Moto Morini, and I had them send them to me, and they are literally just in a yellow envelope, and I can just heat press them out as I need to. If anybody has a good heat press, we're looking, by the way. We are aware that stalls exist. If you know what you're talking about, you know what stalls is, that's cool. If anybody has a cheap stalls unit, I would love to buy it from you. So that's cool. Somebody talked about coming to our podcast, coming to the DGR and leaving the DGR on David Swearengen's old G400C.
Oh.
Riding it home to Kansas, I believe.
No shit.
Yeah. How cool is that? That
really
is
cool.
pretty solid. Fly into Cleveland, enjoy the DGR on the motorcycle you bought from the podcast, and then ride that thing home.
The only problem is
That's a hero move.
At that point, it might be 8th winter. So
Oh,
we're
yes.
not quite sure.
Yeah, May 18th. We have had DGRs that were we've had cold DGRs, we've had super hot DGRs.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had raining DGRs.
I like the super hot ones because everybody's wearing suits.
Yes.
And a lot of guys have like the wool suits.
Oh, yeah.
So at one point, like the light gray suits are dark.
We've got the sweat stains all the way down the middle of the guy's back.
Yeah.
The cats that were wearing the prom tuxedos, like those perfect polyester, they look like an Easter basket of fruit flavors.
Yeah.
They were all the pastels. By the end of that ride, those dudes had sweat pouring off of them.
Oh, yeah.
In all the strategic places.
There was a lot of like makeup running.
Yes, there was.
That one year.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff you're like, I put a lot of time and effort into this outfit. And you're like, well, and we haven't even left yet.
Yeah.
And you're all soaking wet. Yeah, that was it. I poured water out of my boots that day.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was hot.
It was something. And the kind of going at it, because it's the 18th. What do we got? Johnny Mac is a heat press. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's the oddest thing.
Can't
in the
even
world to
defend
me.
himself.
I'm literally just about at Easter, so it's almost the it's a high holy days of Easter, and it snowed yesterday. Day before yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the hell? What is going on with this?
He's still fresh to Cleveland.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's like,
It's still a novelty to me, but
That's
I'm like,
great.
I looked outside, I'm like, oh, it's snowing.
What
That's
chapped my
weird.
ass was the other day, we had that not even measurable amount of snow.
Yeah.
But yeah, they managed to somehow dump 83 tons of ice. 83 tons of salt
Yep.
between my house and work. And I'm like, well, way to go, assholes.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
For the ice and snow we didn't get.
Yeah.
Right? They dumped all of the salt.
Well, now, like you see
gotta
on the
reset my
road,
salt
they're dropping
clock.
that juice, and you can see it because it'll be like 16 lines that go across each lane, and that fucking juice will stay for weeks. And
Yes,
then
it will.
anytime it rains, it just kind of reconstitutes
Resalts
it. And then, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's terrible.
I've been in, the other day I rode to work because I forgot my helmet at work.
Yeah.
And it was 36 degrees.
I thought it was funny the other day. You rode to work in your onesie.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is like 40.
Yeah,
And what the hell is he doing wearing a onesie? But then I realized, oh yeah, he lives exactly 91 seconds from the shop. Like,
it's great that Waze every morning when I wake up now, Waze recommends me faster ways to work.
To get to the
Can
shop.
you find me a faster way to work?
okay, cut through the gas station parking lot.
Right?
Like
Is your
that's,
buddy-
No, that would actually take longer.
Your buddy probably doesn't come off choke.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
My Honda Civic on rainy, like this morning was raining, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to ride. So I took the Civic.
Yeah.
It is still on bypass.
I was going to say, he comes to work 10 times. He needs to charge his battery.
Oh, no.
Because there's no way that battery can hold on.
There is nothing between here. And Phil says, if you catch the lights, because there's two.
Yeah.
4.
Right.
4. There's 4 lights.
It doesn't matter to the listeners at home.
So if you catch all 4 lights when they're green, you can literally make it from the house to the shop in a minute.
1 minute.
This is like the perfect.
I've done it.
This is the commute that they were thinking of when they decided to make electric scooters.
Oh, absolutely.
They were like, this is the guy.
This is the commute they were thinking of
If we still
when
have
they put this neighborhood here.
the Piaggio,
right.
the Piaggio one, or actually I've been thinking about, because you've still got that abandoned genuine electric thing in the back that's never.
It's a Neo.
The Neo.
Yeah, it's a Neo.
Like, I think I'm just gonna take that, because there's no sense in.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Good. Challenge accepted. Unfuck that pig.
Oh, is it brick?
Oh, is it bad?
What's that?
Is that a battery
yeah,
lock?
I'd like to have you undead that battery.
Oh, is the battery dead?
One of them seems to be happy, and the other one is very unhappy. But it will not run on one, and the replacement battery is way too expensive.
What's going on? Okay,
that's what's going on.
Because that's why they finally looked at you
So
and went,
you
just
can
keep it.
So you've been through the process of taking those batteries apart and then bringing them back to life. So I invite you to do that.
Unfuck the Neo.
And you can unfuck that second battery.
Just do all that work outside of the garage. Where
Right,
the
thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
park
the
the
problem.
bike anywhere in my shop whilst it's plugged in.
Jesus, that's the big problem, is how much lithium we've got in the shop right now.
One of our podcast listeners is coming to get it.
I mean, hypothetically, in case your insurance guys.
Hypothetically. You're absolutely right.
We keep it over there next to that TNT.
Boy, it's kind of crazy how you incorporated your explosive hobby into the back of your
Interesting.
shop.
Oh, that's it. Well, we keep all this lithium around all this TNT right next to the bad gas and the leftover waste batteries. Interesting.
News from the front.
What's this bucket of self-lighting fuses?
Hey, look.
It's next to my match head collection.
Old oily rags.
Right. We have 5 or 6 boxes of oily rags over there.
Boy, look, I just linsealed my car. Let me put the trash right next to the battery pack.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so it was a fire you could see from Mars. It burned all the colors of the rainbow.
Melted the bricks.
They're still trying to put it out. It's burned its way to Castalia, and that's now one big fire.
It's rivaling when fucking Morty dropped the thing
Yes,
straight down.
don't ever drop the lightsaber straight down.
Never drop the lightsaber straight down.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, there's one of our podcast listeners has basically said, he's a fire person, and he's decided that they're going to do some training with some new product they have. So they're going to come out and pick up all of our lithium, and they're going to systematically test a firefighting technique.
Well,
that's awesome. That saves you all kinds of problems.
It's just in general.
And you're such a generous, wonderful person for helping out.
You know what's funny is I can tell you a place right now on the internet where there's a bunch of nerds sitting in a room, and they are selling and or paying money for dilapidated batteries from cars and electric scooters and everything else. And they're going through cell by cell, and they're testing all the cells, and they're going, good cell, $1. Bad cell, trash. Good cell, $1. Bad cell, trash. And that's what they're doing. I would rather stab most of my body with a pencil than do what they're doing right now. Okay. But that's what they're doing.
Hey, there's nothing unhealthy in any of that either. So
they are pulling batteries that are failed, that are what we would call dead, because inside that battery is a bunch of little batteries. Mm-hmm. And then a bunch of those little batteries that are in there are actually pretty good. And all it takes out of the 200 batteries that are good is to have like 7 batteries that are bad. And now the battery management system is like, we're not going to push electricity into this thing because it might burn your house down. So it's just like, how particular is the battery management system at saving your house? Well, on some Chinese stuff, the battery management system isn't even a suggestion. It's not even there. I've taken the boxes apart and realized where there's supposed to be a battery management system, they just decided to save some money.
There's like a resistor.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like one diode, right?
What is one tiny little piece of tin that might evaporate before your house burns down.
You know, those like ceramic blocks.
You mean a never blow, slow blow fuse? A ballast resistor? Right.
Yeah.
It'll actually stop the electricity when your car is on fire.
Oh, hey.
But your car will be on fire first. Yes. Ask Dodge in the 70s about ballast resistors and how quick they were to act. And then how also they decided to act when there was nothing wrong with the car.
Right.
But the car decided you should walk home today. Yeah. And it's like, sure.
So it's just like a modern Dodge.
That's what that is. It's a piece of ceramic with a piece of brass across the terminals. It's fantastic. But I feel like, getting rid of all that lithium is going to be a really, really good thing. I have been, when we made the decision a couple of years ago to stop doing electric motorcycles and electric bikes and, scooters and everything else, I made that decision and I was like, man, this could bite me in the ass because these things are very popular. But what I also realized is the only ones that are very popular are also very cheap.
Right.
And the bad news, good news scenario is you don't get very good ones very cheaply. And so the guys that are like, 87,000 reviews on Amazon and 438 houses burnt down, right? But it's only $799 and they deliver it directly to my door. Cool. That's great. That thing existing and being viewable at $799 was the main hurdle to me selling a good quality one that wouldn't burn your house down and could be charged 1,000 times. But it was $2,900.
Let me ask you something.
It's the $799 one existing that sets the fucking chart or sets the needle when people go, well, that's what they cost, $800.
Oh, yeah.
No, the ones that burn your house down cost $800.
Let me ask you something. So like the ones that are like $700, right? They might not work for a long time, but they work. And so like some of them, they'll do 40 or 50 miles an hour.
Sure.
But now like a lot of times it's like a 16-year-old kid who saved up to get it. So who's setting the brakes up and who's like actually doing any of like checking the assembly before this kid's rolling 50 miles an hour with this fucking skateboard helmet on down the road?
3 calls a week.
That's what
my shop gets 3 calls a week. Hey, do you guys, this is shorthand. Hey, do you guys build scooters? Careful.
Yeah.
Careful. Do we build scooters? Well, yes, we've built thousands of scooters.
Yeah.
Do you build scooters? No, we don't build scooters. My experience has told me to infer based on your words what you actually mean. And I will usually say, did you receive something from an online retailer that needs assembly? Yeah, and I can't figure it out. Oh, then in that case, no, I do not build scooters. Well, can you fix them? No, I do not do that because you don't want to get into the minutia. They're only going to hear what they want to hear. I promise you, they're only going to hear what they want to hear. Do you build scooters? Yes, we build scooters, but not the one that you have. That's not what they hear. They show up, and then when you tell them, no, dude, I'm not going to build that. Well, I wasted all this time putting it in my car and bringing it over here and everything else, right? I wasted all this time moving it down to my car and losing half the parts and bringing it over so you could build it for me. You told me on the phone you build scooters. No, dude, that is not what it is. My catchphrase now at the shop is, you want an electric bike? You want an electric scooter? Go to Costco. Because when it breaks in 363 days,
they'll take it back.
They'll take it back and either give you another one or 100% of your money back. I'm not saying it has to break in 363 days, but I'm saying there's greater than a 60% chance that it might. Or it might have a terrible failure because you forgot battery maintenance over that 3 or 4 months of the wintertime when you weren't riding it. And that's what kills most of them. What kills most of them is neglect. Just winter and you're not riding it. And if you're not riding it, those batteries are going to drop so low that the BMS can't bring them back up, or it won't bring them back up because it's going to look at something that's supposed to be 40 volts and it's only going to see 21 volts and it's going to say, not today, my friend.
That's what I was worried about with that battery I just bought. It has that little battery protection feature built into it and everything, but whenever it totally dies, it's probably, you're going to have a hard time getting it to charge back up.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So what you're talking about is a chrome battery. It's an AGM. It's chrome is the manufacturing name, not the color of the battery.
I have it out of the car. I should have brought it in.
And they're just a normal battery like you'd have. They sell them in 30 different sizes.
YTX 12.
But the difference is they're only $32 or $33 on Amazon. And they have a little button and a little graduated LCD display. And the LCD display will tell you 12.2 volts. And you press the button and it goes to 12.2 volts. Tell me a little bit about the protection system as advertised on the battery.
I didn't really read the whole manual that came with it or anything, and I probably never will, but just looking at the top of the battery and one of the, some of the reviews, it's supposed to only let the battery drain down to 5%. So it holds a reserve 5%. So it never goes to zero and goes totally stone dead.
Right.
Which is what really fucks up a battery.
Right. So the premise is that it'll let the 12 volt battery get down to about 1 or 2 volts. And then it literally disconnects the terminal, probably.
Apparently.
Right.
And one of the complaints that I saw was that, the battery came discharged, which mine did not.
Right.
I suspect maybe they took the cheap option and got a used one because you can do that.
What?
Yeah, on Amazon. If you look at
the manufacturer will no.
If you look at other purchase options,
oh really?
Sometimes you
can buy a pre-owned one.
Maybe
it's a return
open box item.
Yeah. Okay. All
right. So then they hooked the charger up to it and it wouldn't charge. But
right.
One of the other things I saw was you have to push the button.
Yes.
So you hook your charger up to it, then you hit the button, and that'll reconnect it. I think maybe that's just what they were doing.
Yeah, if it does a hard out, if it taps out, it's not going to reconnect that little clipper diode or whatever they're using in there to reestablish the connection between the positive terminal and the battery management chip that's in there. Yeah. One of our distributors years ago had those offered in their catalog. And when I saw them the first time, when they were fresh, I was like, this is brilliant. I press the button on the top of the battery. It tells me how many volts are there. It doesn't tell me how many amps are there, but it tells me how many volts are there. And I can usually...
And it also had some other things like it showed you like use cycles, all that.
You keep pressing the button. It'll tell you different things. And I was kind of shocked that for the price point, and we're talking about, 10 years ago when they first came out, I grabbed a bunch of them. So I grabbed a bunch of them.
This was $32 a battery.
And they were pre-charged out of the box. They were
pre-tariff.
Right. Yeah, right. For real. We grabbed a bunch of them, and we had a pretty high success rate on those. And it's funny because one of the Triumphs T100s that Tom resurrected, we stuck one of the batteries that I actually had left over from my stock, which has got to be 5 years old at least now, right? So we had one at the shop that was still hit the button, 13.2 volts. So we chucked it in the bike that Tom, did clean the car, do whatever, make it run. And I fired the thing up and it fired up great at the shop. It had just come off a battery tender. And then I got it home and I hit the button again and there was nothing there. But it was a 5-year-old battery. So that's not a fair ask. Some of the batteries, like the lithiums we work with, if the battery detects that it is not charging, but there's a draw on it, after like 30 minutes, it will shut off because now it knows that the bike is not running and you've left your heated grips turned on. Right. And then the lithium battery will actually have a shutoff circuit to turn itself off as a convenience matter for you. And then when you turn the key to your bike back on or whatever, it comes back. And we recently had a problem with that with one of our customers' bikes with a sidecar. Guy brings his bike in and he has a lithium where the normal battery was supposed to be. And not to say the name of the bike or the whatever, just to let you know that if this is a particularly small battery, the battery tray from the manufacturer would only hold a YTX4 battery, which is the size of 2 packs of cigarettes. Mm-hmm. It is the battery that is used in 50cc scooters. This bike in question is not a 50cc scooter. And YTX4s are often used in bikes that don't even have electric starters. They're kickstart only bikes because they're just going to do that turn signals and the headlight and the tail light and stuff like that, whatever the AC system can handle. So this particular bike, because it only had space in the design for a YTX4, the manufacturer had said, aha, put a lithium in there. So that's great because the lithium takes the same size as a YTX4, but it pushes out like a YTX7.
Yeah.
It has the amps out like a 7 or a 12. So I've done that test a lot where I've had a particular bike we were building, a cafe racer, a race bike or something like that. And we go, okay, we really don't want to have this 12-pound mass. Your race bike is a good example of that.
Dude, I was just going to get into that.
Right.
So
you have a 2.5 amp hour battery.
It's this fucking big.
In your race bike, and it's got those giant Anderson connectors on it, right?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I didn't
know that?
No, because like this kid, somebody really put this together for them, and I don't think they knew everything that they did. So anyway, so I'm getting into it because there's a lot of really nice stuff done. But so I'm starting it, doing all this stuff, starting it, never gave me any issues.
Right.
But I'm like, well, I'm not going to the track for at least a month or so.
Better charge the battery.
Or let me put a fucking battery tender lead that I stole from your shop like a week or two ago, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna put this on the battery, and I'm like, hey, where is the fucking battery? And I'm looking around. I'm like, well, I've started the bike. It obviously is starting with something.
And I know where Kawasaki normally puts the batteries.
Right.
They're somewhere in the middle of the bike.
Right. And so they have it was an ECU relocation plate. So because the tail's all gone.
Right.
So it has this whole plate where the ECU and everything is mounted there. And I'm like, well, that's where the battery should be.
Bingo.
And I'm like, where else could it be? And what I thought was like basically like a resistor or a, what do you call it? Like one of those plugs, capacitor. Like a capacitor or something. Yeah. I'm like, looks like a fucking, what is, and I'm like, that's the fucking battery. Yeah. And I go, Jesus Christ.
The battery's almost as small as the connector.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. So I lucked out because you can't just plug a regular battery charger. Battery tender will blow it up.
Yeah, but you're a drone guy.
That's my thing. So fortunately I had the big, 6S.
You're not
and
scared
8S.
of lithium.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So, and I have life settings on it and stuff, and it says it can go up, you can charge at 1C. So it's a 2.5 amp hour. So I can charge at 2.5 amps.
Right.
But yeah, I couldn't believe how fucking tiny. Like I didn't know the technology got that good that it could pump, because I've started that bike and ran it for minimal, like not going on a trip.
No, you haven't run it long enough to charge it.
No, I mean like just popping it and starting it and fucking with it and stuff, right? And it was at least 10 or 12 starts.
Right. Out of a 2.5 amp hour, which is literally smaller than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
So smaller than a pack of smokes, weighs less than a pack of smokes.
And I looked it up.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, for what it is, it's $120.
We know, absolutely.
So it's not like, I thought it was like $400 or something.
And
like
what people don't realize, the strongest thing about lithium, the very best thing about lithium, is you can pull all the electrons out of that lithium. You can pull all the strength out of it. You can pull all the deep amperage out of it to start your bike, and then run your bike for 10 minutes.
Yeah, no,
and that fucker's practically recharged. Mm-hmm. They have such a bounce time. They have such a short recycle time with lithiums. It's almost incredible.
But it says to keep it accessible in a place that you can unplug it.
Yes.
Because it said if you're not going to use it for more than 7 days, unplug it.
Absolutely.
And if you unplug it like that, it can remain at 90% of its capacity
for a year.
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
It says if you don't fuck with it and leave it unplugged, the cells that are in there are cool for 10 years.
Does it have a battery control module on it?
It does.
It does at the top. Here, I'll show you a picture.
And what's funny about these things is the cautionary tale, and why this is not the solution for all your problems, is this particular motorcycle that this particular lithium battery was mounted in. And it's a reputable battery. This is not a low budget battery. This is a very expensive little, YTX4 size battery. But the bike it's mounted into is a bike that has kind of a hit or miss charging system. I mean, voltage regulator is a little, like when you got the high beams on and the turn signals are going, that little voltage regulator is like, yeah, buddy, you need all the help you can get. We're going to throw 15 volts at you. Mm-hmm. But lithium batteries do not like 15 volts. Lithium batteries really do not like extra voltage. Mm. Lithium batteries like to be 13.5 volts and under. This particular lithium battery, the Shirai lithium battery, has a clipper in it, a battery management system that says when you get to 13.75, it shuts off. Well, imagine if you would, riding your motorcycle around as we do.
Oh.
And we're accelerating the bike, and we happen to have the high beam on, and we happen to hit the turn signal or the brake light or the horn. Well, instantly your voltage regulator goes, I see your demand, and I will send you over 14.4 volts. To which your battery goes, not around here you don't, mister.
Not under my watch.
I'm going to teach you a thing or two about a sudden loss of electricity. And then you will find out immediately whether or not the coil of your motorcycle is battery supported. Because your motorcycle is going to run like dog shit. Because what's going to happen is the little sparky boom booms aren't going to be going to the spark plug when they should be. And some motorcycles, when the battery is dead, the bike itself will not run or will run very poorly. And that was actually the symptom that got the bike into the shop, was this bike runs very poorly. Well, what had happened was the bike would start using the electric starter. The battery must be good because otherwise it would not start it so wonderfully and reliably as it does. It cranks like a son of a bitch. It's got to be good. Except if you turn the high beam on or the turn signals on or hit the brake lights or anything else, it was too much for the battery and the battery would just say, peace out. And the battery would go away. And these things all have like a little timer built into them. So they'd be like, oh, I'm going to be gone for a minute or two and then I'm going to come back. But in the minute or two that it's gone, it's going to run like dog shit. It's not running anything that's DC powered, right? It's only going to run the AC powered stuff. And then when it does rejoin the chat, if it sees anything over 13.75 again, hey, I'm out again. So be careful with lithiums if your bike's voltage regulator is a little spicy.
My regulator went bad the one time in that CB1 on the one ride, and I heard this tone. I heard it was like, listen, I'm like, my bike is making.
Your bike was making that noise.
My bike is making a beep.
And you didn't have lithium in it.
No,
just regular battery.
I pulled the seat off, and I'm like, huh, yeah, it got louder. And then I listened, and it was coming out of the battery, and it was heated up, and the gases were coming out of the hole,
and it was like a little reed, like a little musical instrument,
like a reed. And then I checked.
So what was the charger? What was the charge?
Done.
No, but I mean, like, how many volts was it throwing?
Oh, after I charged it up and took it home, I was getting like up to 18, 19.
Yeah, toast.
It was a regulator didn't crap out. It wouldn't regulate, so it was rectifying, but not regulating.
Right. That's pretty much how they do.
But it wouldn't start when we stopped at the bar.
Right.
So I went and I poured some beer in it and then bump started it, and then it was fine. And because I was actually able to start it after that.
Distilled water, beer, distilled water, beer.
It was liquid.
It's liquid.
There's lots of water in it.
It was an old lead acid battery. What the hell? It's moisture. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I pried the caps off. You know, it was like a sealed battery, but I got the caps off.
Oh, it was an AGM battery.
Yeah.
Oh, it was an AGM.
Yeah.
So my God.
I pried the tops off and put some beer in it and then put them back on. And then I was able to buy, it was enough electric.
Those absorbed glass mats are going to smell delightful for quite a while.
Yeah, but
every time the bike gets warmer, you're like, hops and barley.
It was enough to give me back ignition.
Right.
And got some wet stuff in between the plates. And then I started it and I rode it.
Fantastic. I love that. That is a ClevelandMoto move. That's right up our alley. Anybody got anything else?
A joke, Smith?
Did Smith bring a joke?
You know what you need to do to circumcise a whale? Foreskin divers. Did you hear about the skinny guy that moved to Alaska? He came back a big husky fucker. Do you know why Hitler didn't drink? It made him mean.
That's terrible.
Do you know how to get rid of unwanted pubic hair? Spit it out. Do you know how to tell when your girlfriend is fat? She can fit in your wife's clothes. Oh. Do you know why a pervert crossed the road? Because his dick was stuck in a chicken. Do you know how to tell when your wife is dead? The sex is the same, but the dishes pile up.
Jeez.
Do you know how to get a redneck girl to suck your dick? Dip it in ranch.
No. Hey, I got one. I gotta follow up to that.
Stop.
I gotta follow up to that.
Wait, is it a roll?
Hang on.
Let him finish.
All right, let him finish.
Do you know how to get a fat girl in bed? Piece of cake. Lady catches her husband in bed with a lady midget and says, "I thought you were going to stop cheating on me." He says, "Hey, I'm cutting down."
God.
What's the last thing you want to hear when you're blowing Willie Nelson? I'm not Willie Nelson. Guy goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, got some bad news. You haven't got long to live. Guy says, how long do I have? The doctor says, 10. Guy says, 10 what? Doctor says, 9. Guy goes to the doctor, and he says, it hurts when I touch here, and when I touch here, and when I touch here. Doctor says, you got a broken finger. Guy goes to the doctor with 2 carrots sticking out of his nose. The doctor says to him, you haven't been eating right. Guy goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, I got bad news. You've got cancer, and you've got Alzheimer's. The guy thinks for a minute and says, well, at least I don't have cancer. Guy wakes up in the hospital and says, I can't feel my legs. The doctor says, that's because we cut your arms off. Lady takes a hinge to the Home Depot counter, and the guy says, you want a screw for that? She says, no, but I'll blow you for the toaster. And so I got some exciting news. I've got a kid now. Well, at least his parents don't. At least until his parents come up with the ransom. No, I'm kidding. I haven't even called the parents yet. And that's it, folks.
All right. Well, that's cool.
You can catch Chris at Hilarities every Thursday.
I'm so glad you brought that. I'm so glad you showed up with those because that was a very good closeout.
He owed us a whole bunch of jokes.
He did.
And my question is, even if he's caught up now, right? I mean, that's a hell of a run, but I don't know.
So anything under the $10 level, you just heard.
Right.
Here's the thing, though.
minutes.
If Smith keeps this up,
Right.
we can add a spotlight on a switch.
Oh, yeah.
When it becomes time for Smith's joke
Just to hit the joke of the
corner,
night, right?
Boom.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Spotlight, for real.
Yeah.
Actually, you can have the whole thing with the Tanuki running across the screen and go, joke of the night.
We can have a joke of the
We can do
night.
thing. That's the thing.
I'll have that.
I strongly approve.
That'll happen.
And thank you to Geechee Guy for me stealing his whole show.
That's good. That's fine. Again, nobody here cares. Right. Yeah. All right. Anybody else got anything else? I don't think so. What do you got, Sleepy? You look like you were in the throes of deep thoughts. I thought you might be coming up with something. But
no. There's no
The
thought.
answer's
no, legit. We're trying to keep it a nice
penis.
tight 2 hours. You know, because you got a
Like
mission.
a tiger.
All right. So if nobody's got anything else, I'm going to remind everybody at home to please ride fast and take chances. Play us out of here, John.
Bum, 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 bum.